practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimilla, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn, and this is the Adam Dunn's Late Show. This is by design by people. We knew we were going to be late. So we figured if we're going to be late, we might as well be late at the Late Show, because that's pretty much, it's in the name. You could have read it right there. But we are here. I know it's late for all my UK listeners and all those guys are like, oh, you're killing me right now. But it's cool. You got either you're up super late or you're going to get up and be stoked because there's a show here. I got human beings in the fucking studio. This is crazy, dude. Like, I've been back now for how many weeks, and I haven't had a single person come into the studio. And when I'm on the road, everybody wants to come in the studio. So it's a complete fucking ass backwards. But we are here live with...
Live and direct
with Mr. D-Money, here to my left. And to his left, Max,
What's
the
happening?
one-named guy. Just Max. And from Incredibles. And from many, many things in our past. So we're gonna have an interesting show talking about lots of things. We're gonna go in many directions. I have a feeling. I think this is gonna be one of those you didn't even know you were gonna get educated kind of shows. We're like, holy shit, I learned something. I done gone learned something on the Adam Dunn Show. It happens. It happens every so often. I think this may be one of those. We're also gonna have Kerry Accardi calling in later from St. Croix, talking about next week's event going on down there. Mr. Mike West, who I see in the chat gang, will be down there, so he can call in too if he wants and chat about it. That's not a problem, but that'll be later on in the show. Now we're going 7 to 10. See how we always keep it kind of, as long as there's a 7:10 or a 4:20 in there.
We're on the Late Show. I get it now.
You get it? See. That's how things are around here. It takes a while to figure out. I'm so quick. I'm so quick, dude. And we got MTI. He was the whole reason why we're late.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Blame him. So he had to lock everyone out of his other. He was the last guy with the key or whatever.
I was the last guy with the key, and now I'm here. But it was 7:10 this week too. We got to remember that. So
yes.
That's why we did the 7:10 start as well.
Oh my God, everything is so planned. It's like the universe just lines up perfectly. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly and how fast something can go up and then come down again, because it seems like 7:10 has completely lost steam, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
As far as like anybody caring.
Like 2 years ago, or was that last year?
Exactly. Like yesterday.
No, there's still.
I mean, it's spreading.
It's in the beginning, when there's only a few people and the snowball's really small and the snow sucks. It's really hard, and you really got to work at keeping the ball rolling. But then once the ball's rolling, and then just let it roll. And I don't think we really have to work at that anymore.
What's also funny is they're also changing the name already. Like, it's already being changed. Like, 7:10 is too complicated. Even though it's on 7:10, we're not going to call it 7:10. Everyone's like, it's Dab Day. I'm like, that is lame. In my opinion. It's super lame, right? But I mean, it's like quickly people are, quickly forgetting. And did you see that? You saw that one post with the history of 7:10 where they gave Task Rock, and they gave, they definitely nailed it. They hit it. Daniel, everybody was interviewed. It was okay. See, this is like last month's history in our world, but in other people, I mean, it's already, you can see it already. If they didn't do that article, by next year, people would have already forgotten. They would have been like, what? Who? It was like, we tried to track down the guy who named it. I was like, dude, we're talking about a couple of years ago. So, but happy 7:10 that passed to everybody.
7:10 week.
7:10.
Yeah.
Well, 420 is a month.
Hash life.
420 is literally a month, right? I mean, that's from that point. From
420 is
it's the whole month.
A day, every day.
It is a day, but it's every day, exactly. So during that month, it's pretty much carte blanche. You're just like, it's 420. Next year is going to be 420.
Yeah, literally.
So that'll be awesome. That's going to be a momentous occasion.
Oh, you're right.
You like that, see?
Scott, I'm just slowing everything.
Man, you were like, dude, I would expect you to be a little quicker on those numbers.
Well, time has just bled.
It has.
Like if I told you it was 9 years ago that we were in the kitchen the first time talking to those guys in 9 years.
I know, it goes.
That's fucking crazy.
It does go fast. I mean, it was one of the. You know, what's really funny was I found because Nick wanted to. He's got this. My kid's got this thing about he wants to like now he's into that take apart everything thing. You know, where I'm just like, oh man, he like took apart this keyboard that I had from 1987, right? Like I was just like, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? Am I gonna go yell at him? Fuck it.
Yeah.
I had, and it did work and everything. I was like, dude, really? You killed my keyboard? Like,
yeah, it's just tell him you don't mind if he takes shit apart as long as you fucking put it back together.
Yeah, hasn't happened. That has not happened yet. That has fucking not happened yet. I just find, I'll find it looks like some crime scene where there's just like bits and pieces all in a weird thing, and I'll be like, what is this? Oh, it's that thing that I got.
You see your favorite dial, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, no, it's rough. But anyway, the reason I was saying that was I found he wanted to chop up. For some reason, he's into this. I want to cut up phones, right? And I'm like, no, because he saw it on some stupid fucking YouTube. They're cutting I'm like, dude, there's nothing good is going to come out of that, right? You're going to get some. I was like, it's chemicals. It's bad. You know, I'm trying to tell him until he understands. Like, you don't want to cut batteries in half, kids. That's not good. It's not a good. Like, we shouldn't be doing.
You're too young to be.
And so he found two. He found two of my old iPhones, which had the curved back. You know what I mean? They were like the old ones. And he was like, yeah, I can chop them. I was like, no, let's plug them in, make sure they work first. Oh, look, they work. Sorry. Nope, you can't cut it in half, right? And then I started looking at the photos, and I was like, damn.
Like a little time box.
Exactly. I was like, man, if you look at some of these,
Capsule.
It was from the trip that I came over from Amsterdam to see you.
Oh, the first one or the second one?
I should have even brought it up, because I was thinking, should I bring the phone? But yeah, pictures of your store and everything, and it was just like one of those moments where I was like looking at it, I was like, okay, this is the 2009. This is my 2009 phone, basically, 2008 to 2010 or something like that when I first came over. And so I had the pictures of me moving out of my apartment in Amsterdam and, getting on the plane, flying over here, meeting up with you, so it was definitely like, yeah, these are cool. But the picture quality sucks. I was like, damn. And I was like, thank God I had better vision when I had this phone, because I couldn't fucking even see anything. I was like, wow, triple glasses on trying to fucking get to the numbers. I was like, these things are tiny, because when you think now and you look at the new phones, you're like, they're fucking huge, but now we're all used to them. Just normal size now.
Right.
But if you look at those, they're like dinky dink, and that was the big one, at the time. But yep, 9 years, shit goes quick. Jeez. And the industry changed so much too. Like, the things that we were pretty good at predicting. Between the two of us, I think back in the day, we were pretty good, but it even went past what we were.
Oh, I was saying, the ball, even if you want to have influence on a ball that you started the roll, gets to a point where it's so big where you just try and influence and it just squish you.
And then once it smashes a bunch of shit, you're just like, I don't know anything. I don't even know what that ball came from, bro.
Who did that?
I had
legal weed. Who did that?
I had nothing to do with that. Yeah, that is kind of where we're at. I mean, it's definitely like. When I hear new states coming on board, I just tell them, you got like maybe 4 months of glory, and then it's just going to start. The bitching's going to start, and the reality is going to kick in. And it used to be we had like a year, maybe, or you know what I mean? Like, and those things are getting shorter and shorter. So in a few more years, it'll be like you get a month of glory before it's like, dude.
You get a month of glory before some consultant that's never grown a plant in his life will come in and tell somebody that they can do twice as much as you.
Of course. and they'll believe it.
Oh, for sure. Did you see their business card? This guy's a real deal.
Right. And it's predictable though too, and you really see it as it develops too. It's like, okay, they get the legal weed, then the quality obviously starts to deteriorate, and then it gets to the point where it's like, the bitching starts, and then the fucking people don't get paid, and just really, that sounds really totally new, and I've never heard any of that before. And but now we're at the point where it's getting bigger stakes, and so it gets even more vicious, because back in the day it was like small potatoes compared to what's happening now because it's already kind of conglomerated or whatever, So let's start since we're starting with history. Let's say, when did you see? Because Incredibles, I think we've talked about it on this show before. I mean, we know the moment it was incepted, all that kind of history side. But What do you think, like, the future right now? Because edibles didn't seem like they were going to be as big as they were at that point. Like, it really kind of felt like flowers were the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then edibles got to
mm-hmm.
the point where it was like, what? How did that ever happen? Like, and now nobody's growing good flowers anymore, and everybody thinks in the concentrate and edible game. What do you think's the next trend from your point of view?
Well, I mean, cannabis consumption. Like, I like to tell people, look, today there was more cannabis used than ever before. Tomorrow, there will be more cannabis used than ever before in history. The next day after that, more cannabis. Like, the user rate is just uncontrollable now. There's so many recreational markets, so many people that were excluded from the cool kids club that didn't know a fucking drug dealer or didn't want to deal with that realm. Now, like, I was just telling someone the other day, they're asking me about getting hash, and I was like, dude, if I don't have my fucking own hash, and it's such a pain in the ass with the manifests and going. I mean, it's not like I can say, hey, I'm out of hash, I need to go get some.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
So I have to, like, plan out. I'm gonna be out of hash in 3 days. All right, I need to put a order in so they can pull that order and get the manifest and have it taken care of, have sent over to the dispensary, and I'll be able to pick up this much. Like, somebody said the other day, like, oh, you don't got your own hash? Like, they're sad I can't provide them, like it was the Hood Lab days. I'm just shoveling shit out.
Yeah.
And they asked, what do I do? I'm like, what do you mean, what do I do? There's a fucking store on every block. I go to the store, just run inside and grab some shit.
It's crazy. And it's crazy like that, though, how much, like, wasted energy is involved when it's, like, it's there, but it has to go through all those channels.
That loop is the killer.
Get back to you. And the chances of you being happy of your own product at that point, unless you, like, pre-packed it yourself and tracked it all the way through, which doesn't really happen, I'm sure. And then, it's
luckily.
Like...
Luckily, I have angels that help me out.
Yeah, you make sure it goes to the special star.
I get the just tops, just the flower tops off of... really, all I smoke is Tange, Sour Band, and, of course, orange soda. And, I'm really spoiled with flowers, but it's always my fault. Like, I'll run out and not have the timing correct to go get it.
Okay. Well, there's some organization that was never. I mean, back in the day, it was always just as long as your buckets at home or whatever you kept them in was full, you were good. You know what I mean? And it was a terrible feeling when you had to ever go to a shop like in Amsterdam. I think I lived there for 21 years. I think I bought weed in the store less than 10 times. You know what I mean? Because when I first got there, I was like, went a couple times as a tourist. Then I had friends who lived there for a long time. And once I got weed from them, and then I grew my own weed. And then it was just like no reason ever to. Just like here.
I would say the difference is, I mean, I was in Amsterdam towards the end there after I told you where the ship was sinking. And here, I mean, now you've unleashed innovation like we've never seen before. So we have, unlimited amounts of people working on unlimited amounts of products with unlimited outlets for those products. So you have people that, maybe weren't, like, where Amsterdam was still like a destination spot. Like, now you go to the grocery store and just run over to the dispensary at the same time, run over to the liquor store. So it's sort of opened it up to a different segment of people. And, the Amsterdam got stagnant enough there at the end that the products was really, flowers or hash. Very small amount of edibles, but really now
no branding because they couldn't.
You couldn't.
You're not allowed to. That's the
I remember that first trip there, like finding stuff. You're like, oh, what is this? Jeez, it was.
Well, they just call it space cake because it's just and that's it. It was like, all right. That's it. No, not allowed. And they don't want packaging, and they don't want to have any kind of thing that ties back to them because technically it's not even 100% legal because, they look at it from the, like, every person who comes. This is the stupid part too. It's all bullshit. It's like anybody who's on any drugs, right? Doesn't matter what drug it is. If they get taken to the hospital, which happens all the fucking time in Amsterdam because people get real drunk and then they do some pills or they take some, and then they blame it on weed every time. Because they'll get to the hospital and be like, what did you do? I ate a space. No, they never even say smoke. They always say, I ate a space cake because that's like could have been for a few of them for sure, because people do freak out. But for the most part, it's a guaranteed like, oh, okay. And then they test and they're like, he's on coke and Benzies, like whatever. Like, you sure it was just space
This guy's a
cake?
disaster.
But they got blamed so much that's kind of where the stigma came out. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
great, bunch of bullshit. But yeah, the
So now I think it's just in innovation. Like you go every time and there's some new shit, you know, and it used to be trying to figure out, you know, the best carriers essentially for cannabis, and now there's, you know, with machinery and product developers and basically all of industry opening up to cannabis, the possibilities have really become endless. I remember, you know, just getting a hard candy was such a breakthrough, and now, you know, the food scientists that'll actually deal with the cannabis companies now are sort of laughing at some of the first steps and be like, well, it's like, you know, being left alone at birth and having to learn how to walk on your own because no one wanted to help you.
Yeah.
Obviously, there was ways to do shit that was way easier than I'm sure most stoners that got in business complicated shit. But the reality was,
or skip major steps. Like, you do realize, you know, you're like, oh.
My favorite one is how many people, you know, you decarboxylate and there's a conversion. And I mean, I'm going to break so many hearts right now. Like, for years, people were just getting scammed left and right. If you didn't buy your edibles or whatever consumable you had, if you weren't buying it from a reputable spot, you know, these guys, no fault of their own, they weren't even, it wasn't even that they were sinister. People were just stupid.
Right.
And they would add, oh man, I added 2 grams of hash into this batch of brownies.
So therefore,
divide that's 2,000 milligrams. Each one of these brownies is 200 milligrams, and they're telling everybody, and everyone got scared because there was no such thing as consistency, and it's a dangerous level. I've learned through microdosing that, you know, you go from something that can affect somebody at 2 or 3 milligrams up to people that are used to eating 100 or more. That's a pretty wide fucking range for somebody to just be taking a stab in the dark, you know, and not understanding the actual numbers.
And that's always been the edible curse, has been that. It don't work. Oh shit, it fucking worked.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just yesterday I heard somebody
Meltdown.
say, well, somebody said, hey, you want some more of this gummy? And she said, goes, well, I already had 50 milligrams and I don't feel that. So yeah, I was like, oh, great. Famous last words right here. I don't feel it. So give me some more. Like, that's the craziness of.
And that's a classic. Everybody who ever got really, really high on edibles, it's either been that, or for me, the always problem is you eat the first piece, and especially if it's something that's kind of like brownies or like the classic, and then you're just fucking hungry. So there's nothing else to eat in the house, and then you start eating the more of those, and then you get into this sort of like, you're like, I don't really feel. And if you eat it quick enough, you can take down like a half a fucking tray, and then you're like, oh shit, and then you're just not off the couch for fucking days. And it's like I mean, it's almost, it's like really hard to hit that fucking perfect spot where you're high enough to enjoy it. and you know what I mean, and the timing's right, because it's always like, it's either
when it's new. I think once you get used to it, like, it's not like every time you go into the bar you wonder, you start drinking a beer and you're like, oh shit, I don't know when this is going to start affecting me. If you get regulated doses, you're able to actually control your intake and know where you're comfortable. I think it's easier than it used to be. The hardest thing is your own, like, I've seen a lot of peer pressure, and like, that's the doom of people. I mean, it can be almost like tripping. If it's not that you say, oh, that doesn't happen to me. It just doesn't happen to you at the same dose as it happens to the person next to you.
It's a little bit like doing fucking nitrous for me, where it doesn't work every time the same. It does, but there's only like 1 out of 10 that's a fucking banger. Like, oh yeah, that's why I do this shit right here. You know what I mean? And then the other 9 are like, nah, not so good. You know?
The other 9 times, could you imagine? You're on crack.
No,
the
hippie
crack balloons. It is hippie crack.
Of course. It's crazy.
I've seen some. I won't even bring them up, but we've seen some crazy things.
Yeah, I've seen you. No, but in general, it's become a worldwide phenomenon. It's really funny with and you saw the 67 canisters that was outside of Fish or whatever. Like, there's a classic, and everybody who's there that I know is like, dude, they just like, that's like the very end. Everyone gets paid off. balloons go all day, and then the last hour, they're like, all right, and they just swoop in and grab all the fucking tanks off everybody, and it's just like, it's a big fucking...
Dude, I know that there's been, look, everyone loves laughing gas. I mean, I remember the day I reached over and turned it up at the dentist, and they were like, what the hell are you doing?
Turn it up.
Turn
Getting all
up.
turned up here.
But there's been a couple times, especially in the freaking limousine, where me and you were sitting in there smoking, and I remember I remember one night, we were just trying to have a conversation, smoking weed, and somebody had a tank in the thing. And I remember trying to have a serious conversation with, like, international music stars and business promoters and all these, like, big people having this, we're all seshing out, having a conversation.
Couldn't get one fucking...
And the people are just like, they turn their head. It's the only thing that you can hear inside the limousine, obviously. So every time we're like, stop talking. And I'm like, man, I understand why they call it hippie crack. And, there's a couple times people that we'd never talked to over weed. Like, the limousine door opens and people are like, hey, man, you mind if we get some of that? I'm like, sure.
No, it's just funny because it's one of those things where everyone says they don't do it until it's there, and then all of a sudden everybody fucking does it. And you're like, and it was exactly like that night. It was like, no, we don't do that. And then 5 seconds later, they kind of rolled in. Yeah, but I was saying earlier, it's like it's international, where it's like in Amsterdam, everywhere, there's people now wait around outside of the clubs with fucking those old school canisters, not even real tanks and shit.
Yeah,
so
they're like whipped cream things.
Little whippets, and do these little mini balloon things, and then the whole fucking plate. It's like, it's ridiculous. And that's their whole gig. It's like
getting out of a Red Rocks show, you can just hear tanks in the parking lot firing off.
Shit.
It's like mystery where they're at, but you hear that everywhere.
Right.
You're like, great.
So now that we talked about hippie crack for 20 minutes, see? Telling you, it's like...
And actually, it's funny because the first thing that I was ever described hippie crack was actually BHO. And it was fucking ages ago when I thought it was just a mystery of life. And this guy would bring it over. Do you remember one of our first growers? I don't want to say his name, but him and his wife.
Rasta
Oh,
Rasta
yeah.
guy?
No, older guy.
Oh, okay.
His wife had like a bunch of neck surgeries.
Uh-huh.
But he introduced me to a dude, or the guy that introduced me to him, I guess, really. He would come over and say, hey, I got some of that oil. Do you want some? And I'd be like, yeah. And he'd say, all right, let me see a piece of, or let me see a joint. And I'd give him a rolling paper, and he'd like smear it on the inside of rolling paper and fold it up. And every time I'm like, God damn it, dude, this is the most inconvenient thing on the planet. Like, I knew what it was. I knew it was going to get me super baked, but it was such a pain in the ass. There was times I'd like be trying to open it up to roll something in it and tear it, and I'd just get pissed and hit the whole thing in the bong.
That was the fucking what never got. That's why oil never really got off the ground over the years. Like in the 70s, it was around a lot. There was a lot of fucking hash oil because people were getting loads and just running it all, and Nepalese hash taking people had the science down. Like they were like, if they got into a situation where they got a load in and it was kind of like, this might not sell on the streets as easy as by the time it gets fucking from here to where it needs to go, and there's a lot of transportation issues and mold and all this kind of stuff. Chop away the mold, process it, get your 10% out. They were already on that whole, but they never came up with a fucking convenient way to smoke. It was only you could do is smoke it in a meth pipe.
Yeah.
Which looks great. You know what I mean? And that definitely doesn't really make you feel like you're doing. Whereas even rigs, to people who don't know, look pretty much the same in their mind. They see a torch, they get all freaked out. Now, of course, you got your peak, so you're good. Now you can
it's not quite
smoke
so
your Chinese fucking coils and be all happy about yourself. And that's the thing that's crazy with those things is like we kind of lost completely threw the whole American fucking glass out the window, except for the fact that everybody's doing add-ons now.
Yeah, the attachments are.
But when it came to
creative.
the components, it was like, nope. Who cares?
I'm actually surprised that crackheads haven't started using dab rigs, because it seems like if you
Well,
smoked crack,
now that if they're listening to this
Thought the
show,
same
they're
thing.
going to be on it. They're going to all the
know.
crackheads that listen to this show.
What crackheads do you know that have nice things?
I don't know any crackheads. Period.
They're using,
but
yeah, right?
Yeah,
Well,
it wouldn't really
I
last.
think crackheads are using like the light bulbs because that's all the fuck they got.
Yeah, well, they don't all have volcanoes, right? Or they're like plugged in on the side of
Right.
the road with their volcano.
Although, if I knew a crackhead, though, I would try to enlighten him. I'd be like, you should do it like this.
If I knew a crackhead.
You're
Water
gonna sponsor
song, dude.
Max is offering to sponsor the first crackhead that calls in to Adam Dunn show.
I got a rig for you.
Oh, the phones will be blazing.
Terrible.
Kids, they'll come out of the woodwork. So you were saying in the beginning, though, consumption, right? That was your big prediction, right? You said at the beginning. So now, are you talking about the actual, like, all the tools involved, or are you talking about the actual place and the fact that, like, you're talking about hood? You're getting into Hood Labs territory now, or what are you thinking?
As far as the predictions of the future,
of the next big thing. You're saying consumption.
Well, the next big thing is going to be it's no big thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like here, this is. I've said this for a long time, but if anything in weed dies, it'll be the flavors.
Right.
You know, like you have to be a weed head to keep that alive. And when it's not, when there's production facilities and laboratories and bulk, you know, it's easy to.
Oh, it's like you were showing me in the beginning. You're showing me this Israeli lab with the terps, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of like, there it is. That is the gateway to the future of the loss of flavors and the reality of where we are when it comes to the spectrum of cannabis.
There will always be
there.
flavors for us, you know, like because there's people out there that love weed that have loved it forever, who second, third generation, like weed flavors will forever go on, but our section, like whereas, 10 or 15 years ago, there was 100% of the weed flavors were weed, whether that's sour or skunk or blueberries or whatever that it was weed flavors. Mm-hmm. And as time has went on, you've been able to get more and more things that are flavored not of weed. And as much as I love like the weed flavor and weed smells and how it changed my life of how I interpret a skunk and all of these like internal brain wiring things. Mm-hmm. The truth is, at the same time, I realized 10 years ago that, hey, if you can disguise this as this delicious flavor.
I noticed you did that.
You can,
we were
you can
chatting about that
in.
We were chatting about that earlier, me and Max.
So you actually have the ability to, use more of the weed plant. Like you were saying, like the shitty weed, it can still have a destination in hash. Well, shitty hash needed a destination. Now it can be this. And like all of these ways that we've sort of rolled over hash and concentrates into the next new product, and the next new product allows you to make the next new product, and then that development allows you to make the next new product. Like weed flavors will always be great for weed heads, but the truth is, if I pull 100 people off of the street and start asking them their favorite fucking flavors, no one's gonna say skunk. And the truth is, you're gonna get like 20 people that say fucking chocolate or strawberry. So the future is going to be
millennials
in the
who don't have a clue about what flavors even are.
No, they don't even give a fuck.
Like,
they just want THC.
Like, and that's the crazy part too. Is like it's so easy in a way to be a sommelier of cannabis when it comes to to just like have an open mind. You know what I mean? Like you just and like really try when you smoke something. Every time I smoke something that I've never tried before, I try to make that connection somewhere in my brain so that I can kind of remember, but also like. I'm just amazed sometimes how on point some things are where you're like, dude, that's weird how it, and then once you ask somebody else if they actually agree, you got a starting point. You know what I mean? Like, and like, whereas if somebody says like, okay, cookies has a flavor, but there's so many different cookies out there that you're like, the flavor that they're talking about, that line that connects all of them is not so flavorful in my opinion. It's not the thing that makes me go, oh yeah, that's, right. It's just a kind of a mute zone.
Yeah, it's like spices on food. Everybody's got a personal taste. Like you ask 9 out of 10 people and they're going to say, hey, that was OG. And then there's going to be the people that say, no, what kind of OG? And then there's going to be the fucking nicotine 1 in 1,000 that asks you, You know, he knows he's rolling down 39 different OG strains that he knows fucking by the nuances of that taste.
Was that the Tahoe or the Mars?
Yeah.
Right.
And I used to laugh. I'd be like, dude, the fucking OG. Can I just get the OG? Like, that's...
And usually it was, and that was the thing.
Yeah.
It might have been 9 different versions, but they were just the same thing grown 9 different people.
And the truth is, you spend a lot of time catering to those people, and the fact is, one of the biggest mistakes I made was trying to cater to that upper echelon, when the truth is no one gives a fuck about, like, in mass. If you're trying to do something for commercial success, no one gives a fuck about the difference between 92 and 95 and 97 and 99 percentile product. Everybody's happy as fuck if they can get a good deal on like a 75 or better, you know, and they're like, woohoo, you know, and that's why, I mean, like, even the flavors, like, we're going to circle in a, you know, there'll be a full circle or cycle of commerce where it's, hey, we love weed and weed flavors pave the way, and then weed flavors are sort of pushed away by the newness of things, you know, and then it'll get all the way back to, it'll be the hipster cool thing again at some point to really delve into the weed, and you'll start hearing these, you know, 20 years from now, you'll start hearing people talk about the stories of cannabis and the nuances of the flavors, but the way they talk about fucking wine now,
But I know for a fact that it's just from experience and watching it over in the dam that, like, the hardest part was always when you go do anything commercial, it's so much different than doing it for your homies and, like, having your little, like, okay, I got 9 guys that I take care of. They know when I'm ready when that, you know, there was never like this somebody standing on a fucking counter waiting like, hey, I want this, and this, and you're like, we're out of this, and we only have that, and then boom, they don't ever come back because they're like, they want consistency. So the whole thing about the shops that always did well were the shops not necessarily had the best weed, but they always had what they had, and then they might have 1 or 2 stellar things.
Consistency,
you know what I mean?
man. People care about consistency,
and that's where I think we're getting there. I think we're at this point where
we still have hurdles that people don't understand. So it's sad because you have a consumer that's used to certain the way things should be, and we in cannabis sort of live in a different reality with the way things have to be, and you know, consumers are somewhat fickle, and it's sort of strange to see, you know, like the dispensary that has one tiny place and doesn't have to spend anything on employees or rent or anything else. They put something on sale because it's about to go out, and then a consumer will take that sale and expect that at every dispensary they go to. I'm like, man, that's not really the way it works. You know? Yeah,
and again, the biggest problem, like, say you want some good hash, right? And you still gotta wait until he pass through all those hands to get back to you. So the consumer, it's even worse because it may have gotten wholesaled out from another grow to another guy back and, you know, who knows. But so it's always like and if you imagine like what's on sale could be fucking a year old at that point, you know what I mean? There's shit that sits on shelves and just never moves. And like cannabis is a fucking living thing. So it's like at the end of the day, you know, cured weed sounds great, but it never is because people don't cure properly. And the only way to cure it is to have it yourself when it's fresh and cure it, not get it cured. You're never going to get cured weed because that just means it's old. There's no like...
Yeah, there's a huge misconception in the world of what cured, you know, like when you have a fresh harvest and it starts to dry, especially Colorado, it's hard to capture that moment, you know, because we're here in the high desert, and you got, you know, where you come from somewhere else and you're like, oh, this weed takes 8 days to dry, and fucking 2 days later you're crying at something crispy.
That's what happened to me the first round.
Yeah,
right?
I tried to say, it dries fast here.
Yeah,
what the fuck?
And I went downstairs and was like, are you fucking kidding me right now? And in a way it wasn't as bad as it seemed, but I just kind of saw it. I saw it for what it was at that moment, like just ruined.
Yeah.
But reality was, it was, you know, just needed to be sealed up at that moment. And then feathered lightly, but it was kind of like I had already sunk my head at that point, like, dude, what is going on?
Well, the cure is, you know, at that point, when something dries, obviously it dries from the outside in. And when you're curing it, all you're trying to do is stabilize that moisture content throughout the entire bud. So that way you don't have them little coals. You're actually just smoking. That's how you get the white ash, because the entire thing burns evenly. So people think, hey, this was cured for 8 years. You mean those fucking terpenes evaporated for about 8 months and then it sat and rotted for the next 7.5 years? Sweet.
Speaking of which, right here.
Oh, this
is. I mean, I guess I need some scissors or something. So this
Scissors.
is. So this
Look at
here.
this
Let me see. I'll
thug.
hold that up. This is some hash from. Oh, nice. This is some hash from 1995. And let me see. Which one am I looking at? That one. Something.
laminator.
And I'll pull it out of the thing. So actually, from a party, it was these were tickets. So everybody who bought a ticket got a laminate of hash, and it was at this place called the Catacombs. It was great. I had it was like under a church in the catacombs, so it was all wacky and weird.
I missed out on the golden years of weed.
Total Amsterdam style. Misty Rain was doing topless bong hits in the corner, and it was like one of those moments where you're just like, this is pretty Amsterdam right here. So yeah, it was funny. But this was a laminate that I made, and a friend of mine gave it back to me for my 50th. It's been smoked, of course. Some of it.
Dust.
See dust coming off of it.
It is dust now. So this has
it
been
is.
curing for.
This has
who
been
knows how
curing
long.
for 30 years almost. I don't know. Let's see, 94, 26 years.
But it'll be interesting. I mean, the cannabinoids have certainly degraded, but they're still there. But the terpenes,
Yeah, well, the terps, I think, are
see
probably
what's
gone.
there. The flavor, it's going to be like that earthy,
Like I said, it's-
flavor everybody loves. Yeah, mold.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's see. I don't think.
No, a lot. I mean, you know that for a fact. So many people like water hash for the longest time. It was terrible because people would be like, "Hey, dude, what do you think of this? It's got like that earthy smell." And I'd smell. I'd be like, "Oh my god, it's fucking mold." That's the earthy smell you got. It's not.
Yeah,
That's that disappointing smell. If you're
Yeah,
doing it
right.
yourself, you're like,
Ooh.
oh.
The smell of disappointment.
Right.
All right, this thing's kind of driving me nuts. I'm going to cut the wrong way.
I was actually thinking about coming back
Sorry, I
and doing
just cut your book.
some trying to
All
get
right,
some bags
so let's
made.
see what we got here. It is old and dusty, but I knew, and I remember this hash too. It never was super duper oily because this was like outdoor. I mean, I had to give away 100 tickets or something like that. So I was just like, fuck it, whip together whatever you got.
Yeah.
This was from some purple outdoor. But it was actually
Whatever weed you can, just throw in the pile.
They're like, we'll give you a purple.
No, yeah, it was.
This is the inception of gypsy weed magic right here.
Right, exactly. So
I need to make a miracle happen.
let's see what we got. Let's pull this one out. But yeah, this has been curing, like you said.
Ooh, wait. Oh, never mind.
Too late now.
I see you're just taking a screen out.
Yeah, what do you think I was going to do?
I was like, don't get that all resiny. That's a nice
No, no.
knife.
Oh, it's okay. You're good. You are good. So, as far as now, this is a great. Okay, we're coming to a nice little segue opportunity, I think.
Of the flavors of hash.
Exactly. How did you know I was talking about? So anyway, this is, like I said, 20. This is from 1905. So what does that make it? I don't know.
Wow.
Pretty old.
that's crazy, man.
Max was in diapers.
Yeah. How old are you, Max?
In 95,
Yeah.
I was 12 years old, I think.
Oh, so like 1 year or two, like 2 years out of diapers.
I was in 8th grade.
I was already like lighting
Eighth
shit on
grade?
fire.
Yep.
And
95, I was in high school already.
Yeah.
Already smoking weed.
96
Me and my
was
buddy.
freshman year.
My buddy
That
fucking
tastes like hash.
throwing the
Tastes
cherry
like hash.
pipe into the lake.
It tastes like hash, dude.
Tastes like hash?
Actually, tastes pretty good. Fucking like, yeah.
no,
It is-
but for real, I was probably smashing batteries and sawing shit in half like Nick at about that age.
I mean, and that's the thing is, it was dry sieve, so that was the one thing that's saving grace because this is before bubble hash
Water.
was
It's
really
Got that
hot.
earthy taste.
and so it would actually survive. Whereas if this was
It's got
bubble
that
hash,
hash taste.
right?
I mean, it's just like that
There you go. That hash taste.
typical import.
Yeah, it became typical import, even though it was local. It was local grown Dutch fucking purple weed outdoor. So it was one of those.
Well, I think legalization really opened shit up because just like it opened things up for glass blowers to sort of, strike at the right time to produce concentrate tools, it also gave, legalization gave protection to some of the, not only me and Max, but some other, a bunch of great hash makers at the right time where you know, like all of a sudden investment in equipment.
No, not at all.
Did you try it?
Yeah.
Investment in
I did
equipment
try it. What'd you
didn't
think?
Yeah.
didn't hold people back
Tastes
as
like
much
ash.
as it used to.
Tastes
right?
good.
But you had innovation striking because, you know, instead of having to do it somewhere where you had to break, you know, set up the lab in the morning, or, you know, lab, I'm saying, but, you know, go to the garage, get the ice.
Go to the garage.
Go to the garage, get the ice,
Yeah.
set up in the morning to make the hash that afternoon, and then
Throw some hook
you know,
things over so you can pull some shit up.
and then tear everything down. You know, like that. Just that environment alone and the stress that it created wasn't on. You know, that's not a great creating environment. So, you know, when we first were able to look into, you know, which of these washing machines have stainless steel barrels for us to be able to make hash in, and you know, you didn't have to worry about. You know, we're shopping through Home Depot with, you know, at the time my company credit card for my company, you know, looking at, let's make hash on a larger scale than, you know, anybody else, and let's do it, the legal way.
But now you don't go to Home Depot anymore, right?
Oh, I think actually now you have to.
Lowe's is
what I
crushing
said.
right now. Lowe's is so fucking happy right now. Like they're like, yes,
With
keep talking shit.
Oh.
Because the fucking owner's like, oh, I'm gonna die, give all my money to Trump. You're just like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, he's gonna, you know. But anyway, so yeah.
no,
I digress.
yeah. I mean, at the time, it's funny, you know, like the quality level of, you know, things and equipment, and you know, to go from making shit to buying things designed for something else that were, you know, multi-purposed for hash, to now, you know, the company that's, you know, MC Machinery, where we, you know, all we do is make machines to
No, I had that.
make hash. It's
I literally, like, especially when I was doing these lammies back in the day, the fact that I got to use, like, something that wasn't what it was supposed to be for, and I hacked it, made me feel even more like, ooh, this is super cool, because you like...
the
as-
laminator.
Yeah, so as the thing's coming out of its fucking laminator machine, you're like... You're not necessarily counting the cash, but you realize you're printing money. You know what I mean? You're just like, dude, money's coming out of this.
Especially
Like,
then, man.
Ching,
that's-
ching, ching, because I would make all these little ones and have sheets of them. And then, so each sheet I'd have 12, and I'd be like checking the artwork and, you know, flipping them around. And I'd be like, you know, so in a way I was like at this point where I was like, yeah, this is awesome because you get to use art, like art, you're mixing up art and hash at the same time. So every round had to be a different thing. So it's almost like making acid or something, like where you're just like, got to keep everybody happy, got to keep it fresh. Oh, what did you get? Oh, you got the microchips? Oh, yeah, we did, you know, so we had like microchips for a long time where I'd go buy these sheets that looked like, cut up the sheet into little microchips, and each one would have one in it. So then when people, and they'd be small, like half a gram. And then I'd use them like, remember those pogs? So
Yeah.
I got a round punch, and I'd punch them out round, and I put a little slice so you could rip them in half pretty easily. And I'd hand those out to doormen, and I can pay for it like late night, be like hungry.
Oh, that's
Good.
another drawback of legalization, man. I used to be the man
Oh, the
with
bartering.
the tips, you know, like I'd be
Oh, yeah.
hooking people up, you know, people be like, fuck, dude, this guy gives me a joint, man. Like,
I know, right? And
and
nowadays
now-
it's like,
I'm like, I'd give a joint to someone, they're like, what
home-
strain is this? I'm
homeless-
like, motherfucker.
homeless people are
yeah,
already
they're
like- they're already like,
is this indica or sativa?
giving you shit. Like,
what, motherfucker, I just gave you weed.
I get it because I do that all the time. I like, especially when there's like a show and I have to, you know, judge or something, and end up with like 20 little fucking things I'm not gonna smoke anyway. Just be like, all right, that's going in the car for the homeless people, and then I just kind of give them out. And I have had it because the people are spoiled here as shit.
Oh,
Like,
it's
and I've been like, I
crazy.
got some swag, and I gave it to the guys like, this is fucking crap. You know what I mean? It's just like, dude, you should be happy. I'm giving you some fucking free weed.
He's like, my buddy breaks into dumpsters and gets
Better shit than
random
this.
material that's better than this. What?
Exactly.
Fuckers.
People getting spoiled. But I mean, that's also the problem of the industry, right? Where it's like it's almost like computers where everything just multiplies so fast, right? Like it just like gets quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. And the fact that like a few years ago, not like many, very much, you know, people didn't have a chance to get quality cannabis, but now all of a sudden they have, and they're also getting it. They don't even realize. I mean, there's a lot of crap out there too. Don't get me wrong, mostly crap, I'd say. But even the crap is better than what they would have got if they were just like, you know, trying to score and have no clue, because most of these, you know, especially when you
Right.
get down to that real, like, never would have bought weed no matter what until it was legal, you know, those that
Yeah.
crowd. But people are getting spoiled, and especially with dabs and shit, it's like but there's kids who haven't even smoked flower yet. They're just like, dude, we only smoke,
And like I said, those kids never will. There's some people that have just skipped over every step. Where I'm happy to live in this like golden era of cannabis, like I said, where everything that we were.
I sliced into your thing.
Oh man!
Oh my God!
Everything we're doing was new. Like we're pushing the envelope, and new or recycled from.
A lot of this stuff stuff's thousands of years old, but at the same time
we're just discovering it again, and happy to be part of this reintroduction. And now things are, I've got people telling me all this, hey man, do you know how to do this? I'm like, well, I don't know that I do. I don't know that I don't. I don't know what name you're fucking calling what product. I know how to make hash about 20 or 30 times, or 20 or 30 different ways, and let's, if you spend enough time, you'll figure out a new way. And eventually, instead of every time a new product comes out, instead of thinking it's the newest, greatest thing and it like bouncing into the market, we're going to have an educated consumer that just knows, hey, there's a bunch of different ways to smoke hash. And you'll be able to get, your variety. Like I saw Rare Dankness the other day, they had to put picture up, and I was like, man, that's a nice case. And it wasn't nice because I looked at any of the fucking strains or anything. I just know that that's from a consumer. Like they had a case that had, maybe 20 or 30 different fucking samples of their hash, and it was shatter and sap and butter and some fucking, like some saucier stuff. And I'm just thinking, like I said, from the consumer standpoint, you walk in, hype boys want diamonds, but they also smoke out of fucking $20,000 bongs. Like, that's not your average consumer. Your average consumer fucking wants to go in and get a good deal on some hash so they can smoke for the weekend. Yeah. And I think that those people will end up driving a market, or driving, the market to the place where you can have a variety of everything available all the time, and it's just going to be, like a liquor store. What shelf would you like,
Yeah, and I think the key to keeping all those flavors around is, the people who are in charge sort of understanding that.
Tastes like old. No.
It does taste old. I mean, I'm not saying
it's fucking,
but I'm like,
25 years old.
I gotta smoke it. It's like cracking a bottle of champagne.
Yeah, like, now it's over.
It's like, all right, it's not the greatest champagne in the world, but it's fucking thousands. Yeah, whatever.
But it's our celebration.
Celebration.
I mean, the downfall of this, I see it. You made an amateur error in this. Yeah. I'm gonna expose you to everyone. So he fucking makes these sealed things, and then he wants to be a cool guy, so he puts a punch in it. But he doesn't realize that the punch is right on the airline and broke the seal as soon as he made it.
Well, I had to make hundreds of them, and I had other people help. I'm blaming them.
It's fucking quality control, man.
I know.
The one relic is...
Yeah.
Would have been... I mean, there's got to be one out there some dumbass doesn't even know what it was.
Oh, people brought them back, I'm sure. That was the whole thing that was funny about it. I had to put a disclaimer on it. It says for use, Cannabis Cup use only on the back, right?
At the cup.
Yeah, right there.
That's funny.
But they...
Don't get caught smuggling this. It ain't my fault. Dude, that's the true story. True. Don't get caught smuggling shit. It ain't my fault. That's... I'll stand by that forever. I tell people all the time, like, I still get messages all the time. Like, hey, man, do you ship? Do I ship? Are you out of your mind?
Right.
Yeah, man.
Where are you at? In Idaho?
Yeah.
Let me ship it straight to you. Pennsylvania? What are you, Pennsylvania or Idaho?
But in the same breath, I tell them, hey, man, you should just take a fucking vacation to Colorado. I mean, I'm sure they don't. I mean,
I used to get it.
Drive fast, take chances. If you want to go to the fucking post office and send yourself something, then you're the dumbass. But you're not implicating anyone else, though.
Right. I was always tripping out on how much fucking business I got that country, as far as just like people would call and want to talk to me about, I heard that you could buy weed there, and I'd be like, yeah, of course, and I'd be like telling, and I could tell at the end the guy's like, I'm gonna get a ticket right away, and I was like, damn, I should be getting a commission on this shit. I am fucking just crushing
tourist dollars.
I am bringing in so many people to this country, and then everybody who did actually show up loved it and spent shitloads of money, and I was just like, just wasn't organized enough. There was plenty of people who got onto that, which was like, and then it kills it though. The minute you're like, hey, let me take care of you and make money off you, like, forget about it. That's where it all goes wrong. And I think that's also the problem with the industry. In fact, it's like just like we're always like there was this, the whole thing about cannabis wasn't like, it was like this would be about as far as it would get. This packaging would be a ball jar. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's it. And now it is. There's so many regulations. I'm sure you guys deal with.
Yeah,
them,
we need to take steps back in that because it's.
And it gets retarded where you're just like, are you kidding me? Like all that waste of paper and time and energy.
Childproof, like it's all. Look how many. Just think. I mean, I'm not trying to be a tick, but think of how many. As of right now, if we could just stop time and just roll back on the United States cannabis legalized industry between medical and recreational, everything that's been legalized for like the past 8 or 9, 10 years, forever, however long. Imagine every piece of child-proof packaging that's went out the doors and is sitting in a landfill, and compare that ratio to the number of, say,
baggies and
dead kids. That, like it's like a 0 to like it's probably the most cautious thing human beings have ever done.
Exactly.
Like we're basically like you hear of people taking extra precautions because they're afraid.
Yeah.
This is truly like we have went to the ultimate fucking length to protect people from something that can't hurt them. And it's truly like I'm like, fuck dude, this is crazy. Like sometimes I'll go to the dispensary, I'm like can't even get into the new childproof packaging. I'm pulling out a knife, cutting through something. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Like,
yeah. And then
I agree. You should keep shit out of reach of children.
Yeah.
But please, we shouldn't keep the landfills, like all the work that has been done by
the amount of seagulls that died, and fish and turtles.
Just so much trash.
It is. It's one of those things where
compared to the product, like one of my favorite memes is to sell 2 pounds. I need this, and it was like a drug dealer with a pack of Ziplocs, and then it was like a pile of all this dispensary trash. I'm like, oh, that's
pallets
rough.
And like, and ordering. It's just nuts because at the end of the day, it's almost like when you buy a product and it has the fold-out label, where it's like when you get certain pesticides, things like that, you pull out that you're like, oh my god, look at this, and you pull out like the 7-page warning labels that come off of the back, but they don't show it to you up front. And this is for something that's benign to begin with. So, but they still want you to list everything.
Because I mean, even if you look at, of course, every death is a tragedy. If not to most people, to at least some people. So,
but nobody has died. That's
no, but that's what I'm saying. Even if you look at like the deaths that they do attribute to cannabis, which rest them souls, the guys that kill themselves or shoot their wives or jump out of their systems, like all of that, that's never. They've still never like shown that cannabis, like they're just blaming cannabis, for the situation that they were put in. It's, I'm like, when can we, I'm dying for one of these states to just, like they look at everything and they're like, all right, we're just going to legalize weed. All right, well, where's the rules? Well, no, it's just weed's legal.
Fuck it.
Yeah, like that is the rule. Like that's the only rule we really need. Weed's legal now. Go ahead.
If they would do that, I'd be pretty impressed. But
I mean, at some point, don't you think? I mean, how long does there have to be? Like, at what point does somebody say, "Hey, dude, the emperor's wearing no clothes"? Like, what are we doing here? Like, and then somebody's going to get all this accolades for, "Hey, this guy changed the trash in the cannabis industry." Well, Jesus, I think I've heard it from about every smart OG in the cannabis industry. There's got to be like a medium ground.
I think hemp is going to pull that kind of forward just because of the fact that, like, right now everybody's going CBD, 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 but the prices are literally, they're down in the 3 range when it comes to isolate.
So what's
not the lower 3s yet, but they're getting there. They'll be there soon.
1,000 for a kilo, 3,000. Is that what you're saying?
Right now it's like
4,000 now.
It's 4 right now, but
5.
volume you can get them for cheaper, and it's sliding towards that way quicker. And I've already said it for a while. I was like, it's going to be 25 by next year for sure, even less by 15, just because there's going to be so much fucking material on this. It's like it's going to be.
So how many drug dealers are in hemp thinking that was the next gold rush and that they weren't going to be steamrolled by agriculture?
I mean, that on top of the fact that I think what's going to happen is now people are going to have to look to just almost like when you're growing weed and you're like when you're by yourself you can pull off like 1 or 2 lights and be pretty much happy. The minute it's 2 of you, you don't need 4, you need 10, right? I mean, it keeps getting more and more exponentially at that point. And so with the hemp side, I think the problem is that people are they think they're bad because they did 100 acres this year or 200 acres or whatever. And it's like, no. It's when we get into those 10,000, 20,000 acre fucking...
So there's
still... But not for CBD. It's going to be
hurdles.
for all this other stuff that people have to think past CBD. They have to think, like, okay, let's get into some, plastics. Let's get into fuel. Let's get into all these other things and just grow shit tons of it.
Well, that's the thing.
Which is going to
The truth is, it's like the race between the tortoise and the hare. And weed, THC being the tortoise, that everybody pushed this back through because of its, because it's psychoactive and people wanted to get high and it didn't hurt you and all these reasons. And in medical and all these recreational, because it's mind altering and it doesn't hurt anybody. That's what won over most people that said, hey, let them do whatever the fuck they want. It's not hurting anybody. But the truth is, the medical really pushed that forward. And if it weren't for medical opening the eyes of, like some parents or some city council or, legislators at some point, we would have been stuck. But all this time we've been working on the regulations of THC, taking it slowly, being cautious. It's like the tortoise. And then like 3 years ago, they said, all right, fucking hare, start the race. So you have this hare just in hemp going fucking crazy. Like running so fast, it catches the turtle in no time. But it's like it doesn't quite understand still that, hey man, that was only like 1 lap. You got to keep racing, or it's going so fast it misses a turn. And there's things like like I said, there's so many hurdles right now that aren't going to be the same hurdles even next year. And for most farmers, agriculture doesn't change that much year to year. And this crop is changing so drastically every year. Right now, farmers that want to grow hemp, one hailstorm fucks the whole thing up because they're paying $15 for each clone on a huge place. When I'm interested to see what happens when somebody tries to turn those into the insurance for crop insurance. I know some insurance companies aren't even offering hemp crop insurance, but the truth is, like you were saying, there's other fucking reasons. Like they keep comparing, a farmer makes $800 on an acre of fucking corn.
Right.
Well, they're making right now like something stupid, 50,000 or
grand,
50 grand on an acre.
Sure.
But that number's going to keep dwindling, and that number takes a lot of ancillary activity. You have to have a lab lined up. You have to have the clones lined up. You have to have all these things go really easy. When the truth is, again, we're comparing this to corn that's $800 an acre. At some point, they're going to go back to saying, hey, well, who's going to make, let's make some fiber here. And you can go back to planting 30 or 40 plants in a foot and let them all shoot up, and you'll see fields that aren't tended that grow these ugly plants that just shoot for the sky. And at the end of the year, the farmer just has to fucking cut them down and lay them in a pile and let them start, the process. And then there's going to be other guys that want to grow for seeds, and then these CBD guys are going to be screwed again if they're just trying to grow female flowers because you're
once people
open pollination because they want to pollinate the field because they're harvesting the hemp seed. We're like the number 1 importer of hemp seed from Canada, and we're like on the list of hemp producers in the fucking world. We're like number 20 or something pathetic, but we're like number 1 or 2 when it comes to consumption.
Of course.
So like
consumption.
Yeah, there's like the seed companies that are just pumping Whole Foods and all these places that for years with hemp seed are just right across the northern border. And, eventually, farmers are going to realize it's not, hey, I have to have all this money invested and it has to be CBD to be isolate in the end. And they're going to realize, oh shit, I can just grow it for one of these other reasons. And eventually, let me assure everybody of one fucking thing, that when in the 1940s, when Popular Mechanics called this the $1 billion crop, they weren't talking about CBD.
No.
So there's still incredible opportunities. And
that's got even more. I mean, with the idea of graphene from, being able to use hemp to make the graphene type substance, which is like normally, a couple grand a gram to produce, you know what I mean? Like one of the more expensive, to pennies, per ton. It's just like all of a sudden the shit's just like, what? So exponentially be able to produce, some of the most high-tech shit in the world.
It's funny because we're living in a time with all these, the construction materials. It's so expensive to build with hemp right now. But if the economy of hemp turns around, it becomes the cheapest way of doing it.
Yeah, because it's right now it's competing with the waste line, that's if the wood company has a big pile of fucking sawdust, guy comes through, picks it all up, presses it into boards, you can't compete with that, because all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're taking scraps or they're taking free shit and turning it into something that actually has got a value to it, whereas you're growing something that's expensive and harvesting, which is expensive, and trying to come up with it. So it's like, fuck, it's already right out of the gate.
Yeah, they're cashing twice if they're using a byproduct.
Yeah, whereas hemp will have a bunch of byproducts soon, because there's going to be a guy who he's only wants to see, don't give a fuck about that other shit. You come by, scoop that up, bring it to your fucking place. Now all of a sudden you just put it through your process, and now you've got a whole line.
It sucks because those same regulations are kind of holding us back right now. For years, me and Max, had the dream idea to be able to take the fucking hemp stalks or not the hemp stalks, the weed stalks that are worthless and have to be ground up and disposed of and all this extra trash, basically. It would be nice if we could just fucking chip it up and make an animal bedding company, or fucking donate it to a horse fucking rescue, or there's a million things you could do, and instead you have to, they're like, we want you to mix it with fucking oil and dirt and mix it in
cat litter.
Render it unusable, unrecognizable, and then throw it in the trash. We're like, it takes a lot of work to do that, and it's like,
I know, and you're
foolish.
actually you're throwing away.
This is actually of no value. You don't understand.
Yeah, it's one of those deals where and everybody comes up with the same idea. I'm going to cruise around and I'm going to go pick up all the old stuff, and you're like, no, you're not. And you try to tell them.
I've had 4 or 5 people, even 2 of them have given me business cards. This is the company. I was like, well, you should call the state, because that ain't going to go very far. Like, we're just getting started. Like, well, you're just ending. Like, what I just started the demise of you.
Now taking out your business at this point. No, the way with cannabis and with hemp, especially with hemp, because technically you can do all that. You can go buy, if the guy's, for some reason, if he's doing CBD only and he doesn't want to see, then you could do that. And so there is sort of I think I've seen a few people try to pull that off, but it's amazing how much stifling they do when they unnecessarily, because at the end of the day, they should be endorsing those ideas and working ahead. So we'll see. When's it go?
It should be going.
It is?
Old man's trying to use a future bong.
That's all people had in Spain while we were out there.
Nice.
Yeah, everyone had those out there. I was like,
shout out to Puffco.
Yeah, man.
I'm a huge fan.
Shout out to Treasure.
Yeah.
Your boy. Treasure. We have a background. We can put us there in a minute.
Right.
No, I forgot about the
Chelsea. I need to hit up Chelsea and get one of the newest, latest, great. I want to find the black glass. Or I saw one the other day on Instagram, smoke glass.
Yeah.
Or smoke color.
Those look good.
I'm a fucking make me feel like a plebeian over here with the plain glass. Max wrapped up four consecutive gifts in a row by finally.
I did. I got birthday, Christmas.
So that's some 3-year-old hash there, right?
Yeah, I actually didn't think that tasted as good as I wanted it to,
Yeah,
personally.
it still had some good flavor though.
Mm-hmm.
Tasted good.
I was actually not going to say it on air, but I was like, oh, shit, that's bunk.
No. Well, it tasted more terpy than the shit that I had
Right.
from 24 years ago. Oh, look, now we're in Treasure Room. Welcome to the spot. The funny part about that background right there is that it's actually just a little. When you walk in, it's like over the fucking thing. It's not, but because we use it as a background so much, it actually feels like it's a whole spot now in this.
Right.
And people go there, they're gonna be like, "That's not exactly what I was thinking." I thought because we made it look like it was like leather in front of it and everything. It was sweet.
I saw Gallo was had like, I think it was Police and like 2 other artists doing a show at his place. I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous.
Well, High Fructose, which is a really good magazine, super high-end fucking art, like underground magazine. London Police cover this month.
Oh, sick, dude.
Yeah, it's very cool. It makes me when I see my piece that I still have.
Dude, when your piece, our piece, fucker. When I think back of all the excruciating life.
I have those photos are on those cameras.
Dude, so basically we had these guys come in. Our landlord, even though her name was Stoner,
that was her last.
She hated weed and hated us, but
she kind of liked us.
Kind of liked us, so she let it go for a while. But basically, we had all these world famous graffiti artists come through. And we're like, hey, just fucking tag the wall up, thinking that we'd be there forever. And then we sort of got like unceremonious, hey, we're not going to resign we're ready, like, hey, we're going to sign like a 4-year lease here. And she's like, actually, I was thinking I'm not resigning the lease at all. Like, I don't like weed. It's too much. So we were faced with like 20 days of getting out. And there's this huge, what is it, like fucking 15 by 15 foot?
Yeah.
15 by 15.
20, maybe 20 by 15. Yeah.
Crazy, sick fucking London Police piece that we had in our studio. Mm-hmm. And it's on like a super old wall where it wasn't like we could just cut into it and know what there was. Like my first cut, I get through the sheetrock and it's immediately like mortar. And I'm like, what the hell? And then the next one, it has like a 1x1. And I was like, dude, I don't know what's up with this wall. And it took us a long time that afternoon, but I remember like laying on the ground and having to reach back up there. And
it was a rough one, but we
extracted this piece.
Excavated
like a lot of pieces. Mm-hmm. That was only one of many.
That was just the big pain in the ass.
That was the biggest one. And it was right down the middle with a split, like where it was connected. So we had to keep that. And it was only
we had to it was like truly archaeological, where we had to take it down partially, and then set up braces because we didn't want the whole thing to fold in half on us.
Right, rip, whatever.
And then after we had it properly braced up, then we were able to cut that bitch out the rest of the wall.
And we routed out 2x6s or something for it, right? Yep. And then we fucking made a groove and slid it into the groove and fucking capped it out. And then it was in a frame.
Right I didn't know that's how it got framed.
Oh yeah. It was some serious
work.
and then we managed to get it into our new spot, set it all up.
Hanging on chains.
And it looked fucking sick. I look at the old photos now, I'm like, oh my God. The amount of energy we put into that shit.
Fuck.
But in general.
Shout out to London Police.
Shout out to London Police, for sure. Actually, what's his name? I always forget his name. For the Italian, the other guy who was with them.
Otto?
No.
Autograph?
No, the other guy. He'll be in town for this
really?
show also coming up. Yes, sir. So speaking of consumption, when we were talking about that earlier, what do you think about we're obviously so far behind that we've already lost steam. I'm already middle-aged before it ever even happened, right? I went from ready to fucking roll to dude, I've been here for 10 years and you can't get your shit together. And now they finally kind of got the shit together.
It sounds maybe.
But yet the only attempts here have been complete and utter failures. Even with fucking Ween and his shop, which you figured that had enough hype behind it that should just kill it.
Is that not working out?
I think that just fucking folded.
Dude, I think it was folded before it opened.
Oh, I thought it wasn't. I thought it was still going.
No,
I don't think so. I think
I'm unaware.
Maybe a weekend or 2 weekends, and then it was instead of Dean Ween's Honey Pot. It was
Yeah.
like the next weekend it was just called the Honey Pot Lounge or something, and then the next weekend it was gone.
It was called Closed. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Sucks, dude. Like that video game place or whatever. I don't even think they fucking opened.
Yeah, so there's one location.
Oh.
It was basically doomed. It was like, you know how you get these doomed clubs and doomed places. This was
Sucks,
obviously had some weird curse on it because the kid and his mom, who actually put together the first one, which was a video game based kind of
I thought that
bar,
one was going to be a winner.
I was like, kind
So
of,
here's
I was
the thing,
kind of
though.
jealous and
Here's-
pissed of the simplicity
I
of it all, and I was
agree,
like,
I
oh,
agree.
that is so lamely
They took
easy.
the one out.
Yeah.
Why didn't we do that? Because that was such an easy way out. Because we were trying harder than we ever had to.
For
with
sure.
no licensing and no bullshit. We just fucking ran the gamut and did
But
it.
like everything in life, we were trying to do things the right way and like force their hand. Like, you know, it reminded me of, you know, going back and being like the first. It's fucking hard being the first, dude. It's easier to be like the second or third because you can just watch what they did and fucking adjust course accordingly. But like trying to ask Denver for fucking permits to have weed parties and shit when they're like, oh, we don't have any, like, we don't know what to do for that. We're like, come on, we're trying to do things the right way, and no one. It was.
Yeah, and you couldn't really, you know, you couldn't. It's like one of the situations, like I said, you can't really ask
Well, I
for
think
permission when they don't really have.
when
it's
there's
like
nothing to, you know, like it was in. When you're in the situation where forgiveness might be from the other side of a jail cell, it's still really not worth it. Like, you don't want to be the last guy to get busted for weed. You know, like that's a terrible scenario to be in. But the one thing that changed, I think, that could have dramatically helped the arcade or whatever, was the changing of, you know, making it exempt to the Clean Air Act. You know, so now you have the ability, I think, if I'm not wrong, I think you can actually have like a joint lounge. Like you can actually smoke a joint, you know, like as far as I'm concerned.
I think that's sort of true, actually, but
As far as I'm concerned, we're, you know, it's like a whole new attitude towards cannabis in the governor here. So might as well take advantage and try and, you know, like if somebody's open to cannabis laws, like let's push as far as we can because we know there's no way it's really going to get rolled back. There's, you know.
well, I would have thought 5 years ago this shit would have fucking happened.
Sure.
But at the same time, then it kind of got to the point where I thought it's never going to happen. So I was kind of like gave up. Then all of a sudden it happens, and you're like, ugh.
I gotta say, in my life, dude, shout out to Spain.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like in all I've seen so far, Spain has got the nicest. Like, we went to a club in Spain that's not even for tourists; it's only for locals. You know, we walked in; it was like an upscale coffee shop. Like, I'll never forget. I walked in and looked around, and I was like, "Man, this is like very familiar." And it was like a Starbucks that wasn't that busy.
Chini
you know, like,
Bon, there you go. Thanks, Cece.
There's a.
Out there, Chini Bon.
Nice.
That's. I don't know why
It's
I
always
always
nice
forget.
to get the assist.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks. Like boom, handoff. Yeah, I always always forget his name.
But the
He came later.
the ability to just, you know, I walked in, I'm looking around, and I'm seeing like, oh, this, you know, that guy's just sitting in the booth talking on his phone. There's a couple guys sitting chatting. There's a girl. I'll never forget. There was a girl sitting like in a booth by herself, like cross-legged and on a computer. Tick, 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 and I'm just looking around. And then it took me a minute to realize that she had a joint hanging out of her mouth. And as I'm looking around, it was like coffee was the featured thing on the menu. And then they just had like a smaller menu that had fucking weed and hash. And I was like, this is fucking crazy because it's just like weed is no big deal, like the way it should be. It's like they got it. Like somebody here got the fucking memo, man, because this is just a high-class place that allows you to smoke.
Right. No pot
Nobody's-
leaves. No,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Well, you know, and also the thing was, it was, you know, like, they're the way that the places are built there, you know, it's not, like, you can't even tell from the outside a lot of times what's going on. They don't,
No.
they don't try to
Yes.
hype anything up.
No,
So,
the little bell you rang, and it was like a beautiful, classy building. I don't want to throw them under the bus because you're not supposed to have foreigners in there, but it was amazing. Like, I was like, "Are you sure we're in the right place? Like, this is a beautiful building, probably like, you know, 400-year-old building." And you push the buzzer and you come in, and they're like, you know, you check in. If you're a member there, boom, it was a beautiful place, man. And he told me that, you know, about half the clubs are like that, and then half the clubs are just,
home
you know,
rules.
like Amsterdam.
Right.
That you didn't like it, the whole time we were there, even with you, fucking former ambassador in there. I still didn't really like feel like anybody wanted us to hang out. You know, like what was the one that we went to that I liked because it was so friendly. Fucking,
if you remember, it wasn't really good.
No, because it was actually good because it was sort of more low key and they just left us the fuck alone. What the fuck was your? It was one of your buddies.
I don't know. Can't. I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah, right. But it was not, like the tourist traps.
People go nuts.
Oh yeah.
What?
The tourist traps were like fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to herd you in, make your fucking selection, and move you out. Like worse than I've ever seen here. And then it's not really like.
It was weird in
super
Amsterdam too.
cannabis
With
friendly.
that, like you could tell with people who had been there since I left, and so they're like last 10 years just behind the counter, just fucking dealing with people. And when you go in now, it's like twice as packed as normal, just because it's not so much American tourists, it's more French and Italian, and so people are, and then they're doing these group things now. Like it's totally changed. It's like people are coming in just for the day, giant groups, flood out the same day. Don't stay because it's too expensive to stay in town. Then go off to somewhere else. Kind of, but totally not personable anymore.
Doing drive-bys.
Yeah, just like and just you could see like it's all amnesia. It's all amnesia anyway.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
Right.
So besides Amsterdam, what do you think? And then Spain, what other countries are kind of like popping up on your radar? Because it seems like everywhere.
Every country. The thing is, America, like with their fucked up politics.
Portugal's been a pretty good experiment, which has been like, all drugs,
all total legalization,
and not, but by no means, because I've had friends out there get in trouble. So they're not letting you grow. They're not.
They don't want you to be a drug dealer ever.
Well, yeah, and I mean the sad part is like classic American grower in any other country comes off crazy to them, because it's like if it's a lifestyle, it's not just like all hidden and you go in their house and just fucking big jars everywhere and weed and rigs and things. And they're all like, what is going on? You know what I mean? So
well, we like I was saying, fucking America. We sort of made them like we made the world bow down to what basically fucking Anslinger and Hearst thought about cannabis, and it took like 40, 50, 60 years to get the world in line with us saying fuck
even
weed.
more, 75
And
years.
then, like cannabis was, Amsterdam was like one of the last dominoes, and it was like as the domino was falling over on the last place where there's weed, like still okay. Like I remember when you called me and said, dude, I just got a fucking ticket for driving on weed. You're right. This place is fucking over it.
Yeah.
And then like as they're falling, legalization of the other places, like just enough to prop them up, and now they'll be able to hopefully hold on as a cannabis like destination for.
Oh, I think they always will. I mean, they always will, just because it is a beautiful city. It's got a lot of charm. There's a lot going. The thing is, it's turned into like just a grind of tourism, where it used to be kind of like more of.
Well, I think they'll lose that weed tourism, because like a lot of people when we were there listening, they're coming right over the border for the day or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that as it's normalized again worldwide, you're going to have more of the consumer levels even out. Like, did you ever see, or was it? Because basically in Amsterdam, it's still like, was there ever people that were like, I just said fuck it because I was here, or were people going there to cash in on the weed industry, like on their vacation? When you see weed tourists, were they mostly just go to Amsterdam for the weed and then like you discover some other cool shit, or was it like the art tourists would come into the shop and be like, oh, I just figured while I was here I'd get some weed?
No. I mean, that's the thing, is it's if you're going there as a destination, you're landing there. There's no driving in through any place, to get there. I mean, people do, but for the most part, it's like it's a weekend destination kind of spot. Like you notice it, like it flows every Thursday, Friday. It's fucking woof, it fills up. Monday, it fucking clears out. You know what I mean? It's almost like it is like it's. I always compared it to a casino because it feels like a kind of like you're in the giant casino vibe anyway, which they should be building that out in fucking Nevada. Just be like, fuck it, little Amsterdam, put Amsterdam out of business. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
all it would take, because
Yeah.
pretty much it's very simple. You go there, you eat crappy food, bang hookers, smoke weed, right? So I mean, it's like, do the exact same thing in fucking Vegas. Right? So we need to do shout outs because we haven't even done those yet. Let's do shout outs, and then also I need to call in the next in 20 minutes. We're gonna have Carrie call in, because it's super late there. So I'm gonna tell her 20, and then if you need to use the restroom or anything, this would be a great time.
Sounds good.
And or do some dabs, whatever you need to do. Talk to her down there and see what's going on in St. Croix. You're gonna line it all up.
There you
I
go.
am. New Millennium. As you saw last week, people really win with New Millennium. Just can you pass the test? Let's see if you can pass the test. The question last week was spot the spelling error in the New Millennium product, which is a classic faux pas. When you name a company, you should probably spell the name
It
correctly.
took me a second, and I knew it before.
Well, it's a terrible font. It's one of those fonts.
Yeah.
You know, it's a
In
cool
Millennium.
font. It's New Millennium is the name, but tell
Yeah.
it.
I mean, like, you can figure it out because they're. What's it?
But wait, I'm not asking you what the name is. I'm asking you the spelling mistake in the New Millennium, which is one of those like ding and ding. Max is going to figure it out. I can tell. Max is working on it. He's checking
Well, that
every line.
M, I don't understand. It looks like an M with a dotted I.
No, the M is okay. The M's not a problem.
There's no M though.
Oh, huh? No. Oh, you're looking at the second. Which?
It's-
Which one?
The one that looks like a classic M, but it's actually an N and an I.
That's what I thought was going on too. I thought that was an M.
Yeah, like I think that's.
There's supposed to be two N's,
Yeah,
It's supposed to be two N's.
but it looks like it's two N's, but the one is an I.
yeah.
Yep.
It's a fuck up.
So it should be, and it looks correct. It just looks like they missed the I and dotted the fucking.
It's
N.
like a tattoo that just goes completely haywire, and you're like, "Oh no! Did you just fucking misspell this tattoo?"
Well, are they going to correct it?
I
Like, why
don't-
do you're not calling them out every fucking week on their logo, dude? Like,
Well,
I'd
no,
be
we
like,
call-
you're done with this fucking Adam Dunn sponsorship.
They made this was a contest last week, so they did
So they're well aware, huh?
they're well aware. They told us. I didn't even know. I had no clue. Had never noticed, because I already knew the name of the company, and I knew that this was one of those weird fucking anagrams or whatever they call them. Is this an anagram? Flip? Is that what they're called?
I was actually trying to think of a
Palindrome.
Palindrome. There you go.
Yeah.
Don't ask me for nothing. I mean, any kind
Math.
of English or math. No, those are two subjects I completely failed in. But New Millennium nutrients are designed for people to sort of either on small scale work easily because, like, again, it comes in seasons. It's very simple. But on large scale, with dosatrons and ready to roll, these things just slide right into place. The guys who make this are, starting back in the day, making some of the most famous products out there long before New Millennium started. So, they had pretty much the best of the minds putting together to kind of come up with a formula that's not necessarily, even though they have a lot of different products, you're not using a lot at the same time, and it's all about timing, right? Which is great. Ruby fulvic, which is got 9 forms of fulvic acid, so it pretty much covers every base you could there. Great product standalone. The Decision is a great product. It's got, it's like kind of like what it's named when you're at that point when you want to switch over. A lot of times people, either overdo it or underdo it at that moment, and that can sort of fuck up the whole thing, the whole cycle. Where if you come in too hot, you're
Right.
gonna have a problem. So this kind of sets them up,
That's like the transitional.
which is a nice tool in the toolbox, especially because everybody has that moment where you're switching over, and you can actually see results within the first week or so of flower where you're like, okay, that did something, because that's kind of when everything happens. And
Yeah.
especially if you know your plants, you got like that. you've seen them flour 50 times with the formula
that's-
that you're using, and then all of a sudden you put something different, and you're like, oh shit, they started a little
Classic
shorter.
error,
Or fuck up,
right?
Yeah, no, but we're not. No, they work in conjunction with everything. So it's one of those products where you can bring it in on whatever other thing you had and throw a couple different products in there. You can also look at their Winter Frost, which is a great finisher. Definitely does what it says it does.
Nice.
Makes them fucking frost up. Go to newmillenniumnutrients.com. Check out the store finder. See if they're close to you. If not, contact them direct. Oh, as always, Dunn deals. So we have to talk about this whole Dunn deal in a minute too, because every time with Incredibles, I have to make up some sort of excuses that you guys are too big and too all over the place, and I can't throw a Dunn deal down. But we're gonna have to come up with some kind of a Dunn deal by the end of the show that we can come to, even if it's just one location that you can get the Dunn deal done. We have to figure it out.
I know how we can work a done deal.
All right, let's see. That was one of the goals of this entire show, was to get the Dunn deal figured out, because our next guys who are on the list, this is I guess this company's all right. I heard they do a few good things. I don't know, kind of shady, but no. Our buddies at Incredibles here live on the show produce nothing but the best, most consistent edibles and concentrates on the market here in Colorado, and actually spreading out all over the place, which is a pretty incredible thing.
Right.
Multi-state. They grow it from the beginning to the end, even with the concentrates using their own in-house equipment. So we're talking about rudimentarily doing things from the ground up, which is the most important. I think it's when things work the best, when you know your product from the beginning to the end, and you put out just stuff that people seem to like. I don't know. It seems to be pretty popular. Go to iloveincredibles.com. Check them out. Check out the store finder. It looks ridiculous when you look at it. Colorado looks like if a nuclear bomb had hit or something, because it's like just splat.
Well, it's good because we started here in Colorado, and I don't even remember. There's been, I think there's 7 other states online or something.
Look at that. Like this got struck.
Nice.
Nuclear
There's
bomb.
3 other states listed, or 2. Nice. Oregon's on there, and who else is?
See, you can't even tell. It's the whole.
Oh yeah, I can. It's Illinois.
No, there you go.
So there's, eventually those little E's will be all over the map. It's nice to, have a product line that started at really nothing, and between where we were and meeting Rick and Bob and coming up with a successful line and the consistency and all that, it's actually one of the things I like to, or one of the things I would like to try and focus on is utilizing that. There's so many more opportunities that we have now than before for, say, new products. Stuff that's even sort of outside of the realm of what Incredibles is. There's so many opportunities for basically right when you think you're losing the race in cannabis, there's a reminder that, oh shit, this is like the first lap. So that's supposed to be encouraging for 2 reasons. One, if you've been around and you think that you can stay on your rest on where you've been, well, that'll work if you start a race early and capture a lead and are able to stay ahead and maintain that lead. But you don't maintain that lead by like sitting around and doing nothing. So like to be part of a group that is able to sort of conceptualize something and bring it to fruition, it's really fun to be able to think about what else can happen with cannabis. Like I love those chocolate bars. I'm simple, but we made those chocolate bars at a time when I was trying to hide the flavor of weed, and so they were real bold flavors. And to be honest, I wasn't a chocolatier and didn't know what the fuck I was really doing. So we became early standout and really became known. So it's not like you can take a delicious fucking strawberry crunch or a Mile High bar and say, oh, we've got bougie chocolate now. So it'd be nice to try and branch and figure out, like I know we're working with developing shit every day, and at some point that development, I would like to do 10 Incredibles. Incredibles is, as far as I'm concerned, the best, most consistent brand out there, but it's also the oldest, so it makes it the most trusted. And that's really, garnered us a big advantage in Colorado, because we were the very first ones, and people, seen us on the shelf everywhere. But in other markets, it's like starting the race again. So I like I said, back to the race analogy, you can get ahead in the race and you can stay ahead the whole time, but you can also get ahead in the race, and other people, should be encouraged too, because it's only lap 1.
Yeah.
So people are sitting at home thinking, oh, I would have did this, I would have done that. Fucking do it right now. Like right now is the time. Like the golden era of cannabis is upon us right now. Like there will be a time where you have no opportunity to start anything new in cannabis. You'll be looked upon like foolishly. But right now, you could fucking still come up with the next greatest thing in weed. Guaranteed.
Right.
Like the markets are just now opening up in California, which is like an entire world. Like just the economy of cannabis in California. And it's fresh there. Like everywhere it's like set back a little bit. The learning curve might change because, there's been groundwork laid by other states, but it's still new everywhere. And the opportunity is still right now. So, I wanted, Incredibles, Incredible Edibles is sort of, known as that chocolate line. Like I want to know what the next instant, like this actually right here, to me is like full, all the way in a circle. Look at that. So when you're now complete isolation, and look at how the facets are on that.
Right.
That's just one. I mean, I want somebody to take that. I've tried a couple times, but it's sort of a fragile thing. But sand that down. Let's polish a stone and start selling that shit by the carat.
Can I see that one or no?
Based on clarity.
Here, let's see.
It's more of a novelty. Because there's consumer cannabis, and then there's, that shit. Like nobody's really differentiating anymore. Like the weed users were weed users, and now
there we go.
There can be a market for like the craziest, most absurd shit on the planet, and it doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be as simple as, hey, I have to understand what hash was made from this. Like that plant is irrelevant at this point, so that can go into any product without disflavoring anything.
All right, I got to continue. Good job, though. That was a perfect
segue.
Oh, I thought you were just talking. I didn't know you were still trying to do Incredibles ad.
No, that was Incredibles ad. You just did the ad. That was the ad. We're going to play that every week.
Oh, God.
Like, oh, my God. Oh, look at, there it is. There it is. Okay, so.
Oh, it's literally
you're
in the middle of your commercial. You're terrible. You should have just said,
that's
move
how I do
on.
my commercials. No, come on. I'm letting you fucking do your shtick.
That makes it my home.
That was
Guess
your
we're hosted.
They listen to me every week, do the same swag, and they know they get tired, and they all complain.
It's nice to have you guys.
Jack Gang all hates me for every time I listen to Bill Burr. I listen to him do ads, and I'm like, I just want to be like him, but I'm not as funny. But he's hilarious. I mean,
I don't know if I've heard his ads.
cunts. He calls everybody cunts and gets all fucking crazy in the middle of his ads, and then he's like, oh, lost another one. But we haven't lost guys from Build a Soil, and they've been with us since the beginning. Most consistent sponsors and the most consistent people out there as far as if you want to get good IPM products, good soil building products, get good soil directly from them. Free freight in Colorado and New Mexico, which is awesome because when you're talking about transporting soil, it costs more for the shipping than the fucking product would be in the first place.
It's not as bad as water, though.
It's not as bad as water, but they've got your beneficials. They've got kind of everything in those departments, and you can contact them directly at 855-877-SOIL if you want to talk to some human being on the phone. You can also go to buildasoil.com. Jeremy will be on the show next week, I hope. I'm going to try to reach out to him today because now I'm trying to go in order. So first we had New Millennium, who didn't show up, but they did their giveaway. And then we're going to have you guys on here. You're going to come up with your sort of giveaway crazy idea, whatever that may be. And then next week, Build a Soil, their giveaway. And then Seeds Here Now. No, then Green Farms, and etc. I'll get to those guys. I'll get to all those. See, they got double advertisement already. But Build a Soil, those are the guys. If you need any products, you get in touch with them. Ask for the Dunn deal. You will get taken care of sweetly.
The done deal.
It's the Dunn deal all around.
It's a done deal.
Everyone's getting done deals. Buildasoil.com, like I said, check them out, and don't forget the Dunn deal.
Yep. Green Farms?
Green Farms, exactly.
Gotcha.
Now it'll be easier. I'll have a more rhythm, because before I'd always somehow get stumbled on Ron's thing. Greenfarms.co, if you want to check out these guys, they're doing no-till, fully organic growing here in Colorado, which is the future, in my opinion, as far as if you want to differentiate yourself, or if you want to pay a little bit more, just by knowing you got quality herb that's been grown organically, which is going to be harder. It's harder in the city, harder here and there, but at the same time, not if people want to take the time and effort. It's like pushing a rock uphill for a little while, then it rolls downhill, and they are now at that point where it's rolling downhill because they have some awesome product in their shops. They're also doing hemp lines. They're doing mushroom cultivation. They're kind of all over the place. They're doing everything. They bought up Buffalo, so they have now Buffalo under their wing. They've got their own worm line, Rasta worms. So check them out at greenfarms.co, or also if you're in the area of Louisville, you can swing by their shop over there, Green Farms Feed and Seed.
This is back to we're back to the fun level of consumer, where educated consumers, some people don't want to pay any more, but some people are excited for the opportunity, because it was like a race to the bottom, and then people realize that, hey, a quality product matters, and slowly but surely people realize, oh shit, I actually want something better.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, is it's like with food, I only buy organic food if I can. I mean, occasionally buy.
You only like to consume pesticides that are on the list.
Yeah, I don't want to go with it. But I can tell the difference. I mean, it's like I'll see some stuff that's like, especially when it comes to like the way things either decompose or don't decompose. Like some products.
I don't disagree that there's definitely a difference in quality.
I'll get organic stuff, which will stay much better, you know what I mean? And then I'll get some other shit, which looks all great, and then like blah.
But isn't there a chance that that's, instead of it being the label of organic, that it's just a better product? Like from a better farm?
Oh, yeah, 100%. But I think that's probably because they're growing organically, that they're a little bit more on point, and they got better selection, and they're doing their shit a little bit more for the right reasons, hopefully,
Like it speaks to their nature.
Well, these guys are doing everything they can to grow as organic.
You're in the commercial still.
I am in the commercials. See, he just, you don't get how these commercials work. They're very freestyle. It's okay. I don't mind. I don't mind the
This
inputs.
is 10 years ago. Tim would have had you come in and record a good commercial, and then you could just push play.
I know.
And choke on a fucking dab while your commercial's
James
down.
still wants you to do that.
He needs to, apparently.
I can't.
Why can't you?
Why would anybody listen? Everyone would turn their ears off if they listen to the show more than once. They'll be like, why would I ever want to listen to that again?
I have to
do 5 different versions.
Yeah, do a couple versions. Have your.
Nobody would care. They wouldn't. Once I go fake, they'd be fake. Adam's faking it.
Phony.
Yeah, phony.
I doubt it.
They like to see me sit and ramble for 3 hours. That's what they've said.
I think you could probably cut it down.
They like
rambling.
to see you sit in treasure.
There you go.
Oh,
Boom.
there you go. Look at that transition, man. Somebody keeps
Treasure.
you on.
Yes, our boy Petey over there. He actually, Keith the Bro is going to be in Barcelona, so those guys are going to get to meet the Bro soon, which is going to be awesome. You go to Treasure Barcelona on Facebook, and you can find them there. You can if you go to Google search and put Treasure Barcelona, boom, you'll get like directions from wherever you are. It says 5,237 miles from here from me, so I know that. I know it's that far. Hey, look, see, we're there. We're there. We're in the door. This is actually we're floating in the air actually, and we're really small. Just in case you want to know that.
Elevated soundstage, man.
These guys will give you the Dunn deal. This is the best place for Dunn deals.
See, where's Spain at? Where's Spain at with their weed laws right now?
Clubs
But
still.
is it open to foreigners? Mm-hmm. Because it wasn't. I guess it was 5 or 6 years ago.
When you get the Dunn deal, it is. So that's the whole point. Go in with the Dunn deal, and you will be accepted.
Dunn deal. You get smuggled in.
You can go boop 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 doop, and you go zip. Like it's like Get Smart, that old show where they had all the doors. one door goes one way, one door goes the other way. You get in there and you're like, oh my God, the done deal. And then Petey's going to be ready to fucking present coffees and
So you'll have a birth certificate waiting for you. You're residente already, huh?
you gotta go. Yeah, just tell them Adam sent you. Adam Dunn Show. Done deal. Need it
Boom.
now. Bam. And of course, Seeds here now. Our other top dog,
Yeah.
besides our final sponsor, but yes, sir, also been with us not since the beginning, but from quite early on, and just like the best customer service, best, putting the most energy into it, which is one of those deals where it's like, if you knew how much roadblocks it is to distribute seeds, it's fucking a nightmare because you're breaking the mold every time. They don't know what the fuck's going on. You have to tell them what to do. Get shut down. I think they've had their IG shut down 30 times, 30 times,
I feel your pain.
30 times or something retarded, and paying for all the back line and all that bullshit. So just to get you convenient, easy to get seeds, but also from the best breeders. They're doing their BOGO sale right now, buy one get one free. Check them out online at seedsherenow.com. Go to seedaholics.com if you want to check out the auction site and see if there's some crazy weird shit there. Also, they have their charities on those things and just all around interesting shit. So
There's a
check
deal
them.
on Flow right now.
Oh, look at that F5.
F5's free.
Flow 5,
Fucking
F5.
Being like one of the contributors to Flow in Colorado, that like the plague.
Play the flow. Yeah,
I love it.
was-
I'm
love
still
but
a huge fan.
it was the most grown thing
Yeah,
ever.
there was like some greedy hands that were on that cut early, and it's always good to see giveaways. DJ Short.
You
still
can get
killing it.
when you do checkout, you go Done Deal.
Done
and check.
deal.
Yes.
That's a done deal.
It's a done deal. This is
a good
see,
one.
it's all working. It's all beginning to work now. Slowly, people are finally figuring it out. They're like, yes, the done deals are the deal. It's always the best. It's always the best deal. I don't know. Is that James McMahon or is that her? It might be.
It might be our color.
Hello. Is that Carrie? Or
Hi.
Hey, Carrie. How you doing? I got one more.
Hi.
I got one more.
Can you hear?
Cool. I got one more sponsor I got to do, and then I'll be coming over to you. Okay? Is that cool? You got like.
I can't hear you. The phone's breaking up.
Uh-oh. Can't hear me. That's not good. Can you hear me now?
Can you hear us now?
Hang on. I'll call you 2 seconds.
Okay.
No, I don't hear it. It's breaking up.
It's okay. That's no problem. Hey, call me back in 2 minutes, actually. Oh, never mind. So,
Illuminar.
yes, let's just do Illuminar really quickly. Illuminar, go to illuminarlighting.com. Check their site out. They are going to be doing the monthly giveaway. We've given away, I think, 5 of these lights already. But we were doing it weekly. We were kind of crazy like that. And so we've toned it down to monthly. That's why we're bringing in all these other sponsors to be like, hey, come in. We'll do each week a different giveaway, or each month for each person. That'll be a way each week we got ourselves something cool. These guys started the trend by giving away a bunch of 315s and even a 630 at one point. Then they realized it was like way too much shit. It wasn't the lighting, it was the shipping, because we had people winning in Scotland and calling in from all over the fucking place. So it's like, oh fuck, that's like $500 to ship that light. All right, we're gonna go back to Illuminati at the end.
Okay.
Now how we sounding? Better?
Oh my God, so much better.
Oh,
I
good.
literally couldn't hear anything before.
Okay, good. What I was
Right.
saying earlier was I had one more sponsor, but I got halfway through him. I'll do him at the end. While we got you on the line and we got a good connection, welcome to the Adam Dunn Show, Carrie. How is it down there? Give us a heads up on how Carnival's going as far as preps. What's the vibe like? I'm sure people are getting excited now because it's getting within the week.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I did an interview with CBS today. It was positive. We were on the radio. I was on a radio show yesterday. These islands are like incredibly open to bringing this, and they need a lot of everything.
Mm-hmm.
We're sitting here with 3 islands. We have 3 industries. They're getting 2 million visitors a year. They have doctors here, nurse practitioners, homeopaths, naturopaths, chiropractors that can certify for cannabis, and then their patients can grow 12 plants. So they're really taking care of the local community, which is what's so important. As you and I both know, we've seen, how many people lived off of patients and then, leave them in the dark, not able to grow their own medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel really strong about, educating them about, how to grow, what to grow, and how they can create products. And then with that said, the business opportunity is tremendous. I mean, they have literally 3 islands. There's 3 industries with CBD, hemp, and medical cannabis now. You have 2 million visitors a year. They have reciprocity. They have daily medical passes. It's a tourism mecca. I mean, it's gorgeous here. It's magical. So I think, honestly, Adam, I've never experienced anything in this capacity of the openness and the need and the truth. It's it really is for the medicine and for the plant. And yet, they want to make money and build businesses. And I got to hang out with an awesome Rasta family today after our interview. We've been meeting with a lot of different people here. We have some of their sponsors. We have Jonathan Baldwin from Forever Flowering Greenhouses flew out early, and he's hanging out in St. Croix. I'm heading to the British Virgin Islands in the morning for the Hemp Fest there. So we're hitting up all the Caribbean now, which is just, I'm humbled.
So what's the Hemp? Tell me about that Hemp Fest.
Talking about it.
Tell me about the Hemp Fest,
Hemp Fest. Yeah, so Hemp Fest, I haven't been there yet, but this is their 2nd year of Hemp Fest out in BVI, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal of what they're doing. I haven't been, so...
Is it got anything to do with Seattle's Hemp Fest, or is it they're just
I'm not
calling
sure.
the same thing?
You know what, I have to actually... Yeah, no, I have to ask Vivian. I believe there might be some sort of licensing that they work with people generally. Mm-hmm. I mean, Vivian McPeak, the founder of Seattle Hemp Fest, is really open with sharing and getting this information out. So I'm not really sure what the dynamics of that are. But I know that this has been their 2nd year, and it's I forget, I have to look at the name. Do you remember that name of the places where the BVI Hemp Fest is? Right, Foxy's. It's called Foxy's.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Foxy's in the BVI, and, Positive sent me a picture where they were setting up stages, and they're going to have speakers and vendors and pushing on, cannabis education,
that's cool,
networking, and building this. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I wish you were next to me right now.
And so how's Positive feeling for the whole thing? I mean, it's his town, so he must be. Is he getting any pushback at all in any weird way, or is it's all sweetness?
No, man. This is the craziest thing, Adam. There is no pushback. I mean, there's the crazies and people that may be pushing back for whatever their personal political stuff, but anyone on the ground and anything I'm hearing about and anyone I'm talking to a lot of people right now that are involved in educating or that are vending out here already CBD. They are selling CBD out here, and they're getting relief. What the issue I see is really giving them the full knowledge and the education, so we can, they can understand here what this is and build an industry, right? It's meant to, same thing with Carnival is meant to educate and empower, not to infiltrate. Yeah.
So what's funny is, remember I told you about how we had Carnival so Derek, who's the guest here, he was 100% partnered up with me at that point when we were just going, and we watched, because Carnival was one of those things where it was it was a great idea. Everything was cool. We got hit with the fucking blizzard in the middle of the spring.
Right.
Oh my God!
The day before our party, there's 16 inches of snow.
So.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was one of those moments in time where we
everybody's outdoors playing games.
Yeah, we were definitely pushing uphill at that point, and it was So anyway, that's our Carnival history.
So funny.
And then the best part is you
have no hurricanes hitting, right? That's the most important thing. It's not like, by the way.
No. But I'll tell you this: as soon as we started filming today, we're all set up, beautiful water in the background, the boats, and we're going to film for CBS. And we're one question in, and it starts downpouring for only 10 minutes. It was rain for 10 minutes, and it was beautiful sky. So it's funny when that happens. The universe is really funny, Mother Nature.
Right.
So it's really cool, and I think it's awesome that you and I we're thinking in the right, in the same lane with Cannaval, and then also what we're going to do in the St. Thomas conference that's going to be coming up on 10/10 to 10/12 with some boot camp action. I've been trying to tell people about that.
I want to teach a boot camp class.
So well, we may have a teacher for you right here. He is literally the perfect boot camp teacher for sure.
Why? Who am I talking to, Adam?
This is
what's going on?
This is Derek Cummings from Incredibles. You know Incredibles here in Colorado.
Bob. I know Bob.
Wow, yeah. Bob, this is the guy who actually put... No, this is not. Bob definitely...
Bob's my partner.
Bob is the... he came from packaging.
Yeah, you should... Derek, you know what? You should tell your partner, shame on you, because you'd be here with me in the islands right now going and putting some edibles out here.
Bob didn't pull the trigger.
Let's throw Bob out there. Well, we'll see Bob. Maybe we'll see Bob in October, and we put this really Adam. So what we did in this is we put a really cool opportunity actually out, and we're digitizing. We're making a digital conference as well. So what that means is essentially we're going to have this conference on St. Croix. We're going to have filming. We already have a website up with a lot of information, and then we're going into the 10/10. So in between that time, what we're doing is we created this opportunity for brands that want to come into the Caribbean to reach them through the website, super affordable, from literally $250 for logo placement and link back to their site upwards to $5,000 and getting commercials and getting on Skunk and MJ News or whatever our distribution outlets are. And the reason we're really doing that is to streamline this, because we don't want to come in and educate people and then they have to Google soil, they have to Google lighting, they have to Google these things. So what we're doing is making it through the education, which people are going to be coming to the site, coming to see what's going on because it's already happening, and then they're able to click on and see, what is the Adam Dunn Show, and then they can go and do that exploration.
And then they're scared. They quit immediately. They're like, "Fuck."
No, they love you. They're gonna be they're gonna call. They're gonna call. They're gonna be like, "How can I sponsor this? How can I get on this show? This looks like the place to be." That's what I think, but I don't know. Who am I?
So tell me about CBS.
So what was it? Cool.
What was their angle? Were they positive, or were they trying to come at you with some sort of any kind of?
No, it was totally positive. No, it was totally set up like
buddy.
Universe.
I just wonder. You never know.
Universe loves. Nah, it was awesome. Universe loves us, and we did a radio show the day before, and then I was sitting with a friend of mine and his roommate. And he's telling him what I'm doing, and he's like, "You want to do CBS?" He's literally texting one of the girls that works there, telling her what we're doing, and she knew me through some other stuff. So it was all about Cannaval. It was all positive. It was literally positive came up after. It was about what we were doing. We threw some names that we were bringing down and how important this is. That's what it was. The most thing is how important this is, because, this is a different... This is different. This is a true opportunity for these people to really build these industries and lead the market. Really lead the market, and especially in a black market or Rastafarian. Like I said,
well, it's awesome.
It was really great spending time.
It's awesome when you're there and you realize like they are at that moment in time where literally all the energy that they put into it, them keeping it going and going against this grain and like. But knowing that it was for the right reason, it's all justified, which is super awesome to see, because it's like we kind of had our own version, here, but I think there it's even more down to the most, like generation after generation after generation. Whereas here it's sort of like you go, I wouldn't say that people go through a phase, but a lot of people do. And whereas, then there's certain people who just like what they're doing and stay there and never get over 16 is the way I look at it, right? We're kind of perpetual 16-year-olds kind of like loving
16.
it.
I'm going to say more like 27. 'cause
Oh,
I
you're
was,
27. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, you're perpetual.
He's very mature. They're very mature and incredible. So you got to watch out. You know?
Yeah.
You're
I'm
right,
16.
Adam. You're 100% right. And what's been really coming as spending time, like I said, I spend time with friends with the Rasta community, and hearing them talk to me, older of, hey, we've been telling people this is the healing of the nation for years. We've been prosecuted. We've been going through all this, and so like I told them, like I tell anyone else that's here, then pay attention to what's going on, because we're going to bring you the highest level of education and empowerment, and then it's going to be up to you to make that choice to move forward. Otherwise, infiltration will happen like it does anywhere else. We create our lives, and so the amount of magic that can happen here, because they're already growing. They're not only cannabis, they're using herbs, they're using medicine. This isn't new, and the openness of what it is just so beautiful. But we're fighting stigma still, and we're always going to fight stigma until we empower with that education, and that's really what the goal of Cannaval is really just making sure people really understand what we're getting, not what they think it is, but really, they don't have to guess. You Colorado, Washington, California now, and other states have legalized over the past 5 years. So we're in a different place right now, and I think that for the most people like yourself, like myself, that actually really care, hopefully Derek, care about the plant and like why we're doing this.
Of course.
We have to get to that core, we have to get back to the alliance, and it's great to make money. We should all make money, but we can't lose the focus of the plant and why we're here. We can't lose the focus of the medicine that's bringing to people, and we certainly can't leave patients out in the wind while people are making hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars for patients, and then let alone the people that are still suffering in jail right now for these nonviolent offenses. And then we have award shows, right? And so we award people, which I'm all for awards, but we have to be cognizant of what's happening around the world and where other people stand. And I think it's really important. And I think that's the education of not only the history, but, where we're going. And let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Let's make sure this is, federally legalized or, not decriminalized, deregulated. So, when those happen, then let's celebrate everywhere. But this is really important that we don't lose touch, because, as now we have the CBD craze, which is like Reefer Madness Part 2. And I had to have a conversation with someone selling stuff here, and I'm not going to name the company, but it was an MLM, and they had that pitched down to me of what it would do, and they had it in nano and blah blah blah. And I said, who's the company? And I just looked and I said, that's not the best company, period. And this is why. And go look. But if we don't educate, no one knows.
Oh,
so we're
it's
just
like a race. It's right now it's a race.
Them.
Like there's so many people filling in so many gaps. Like when I go to certain stores and I see the end cap is all CBD, and then I look and I'm like, you can just tell like there's garbage. There's so much like natural grocers out here. They got like
They're doing that same scam I was telling you about with the hiding the milligrams.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're doing all sorts of weird stuff with milligrams. It's really
well. I don't know. The problem is
this is a CBD product and it has 25 milligrams of hemp oil. Wait a minute.
Yeah, well that is. I mean, it's also a lot of them. Most of them aren't using hemp oil. A lot of them aren't. That they don't even see that obvious like, hey guy, why are you fucking putting it into this bullshit when you should be putting it into hemp oil anyway? That would make more sense. Trying to keep it 100%. But right now the biggest problem is that people just kind of ran to their like if you go to Utah, you can just pull into these complexes, which would be all weed, but there it's all nutraceuticals. Like every single person, every single company there is just doing nutraceuticals. You roll in, you say I want this, and this with CBD. They're like cool, and they just crank it out. You know what I mean? So that's like the people right now who are
But that's why I
out of the gate.
think it's important. Like the good people will be the people that keep the roots, and those are going to be the flavor of weed people.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's gonna
that's
be
the
ran
cool thing down
over.
there.
You hope so.
You're
You
trying
hope
not
so.
to get
We
ran
hope
over by the
so.
people that don't give a shit, because
Right.
that's the truth of the monster of the market. It will, 70 or 80% of people will just be looking for, hey, I'm gonna go grab some joints. Like it's not gonna. They don't feel it, and they don't have that compassion. So it's gonna be important for people that succeed to sort of stay grounded when it comes to the plant. Otherwise, it'll quickly, consumerism will eat up the whole industry.
And the lies, we have to be on top of the lies. I mean, we can't, you guys are pros. Like, doesn't bioavailability count? Doesn't the way things are processed count? Doesn't what is processed count? And so what's happening in my perception is that people are bridging CBD as a one-all, or cannabis for that matter. And this is, and it's not. But what the horrible thing is, this is preying on, desperate parents, people that are sick, people that are really looking for this medicine, and this confusion. And then, all you got to do is go buy one, get one free, right? Or $19.99, whatever you do. And now immediately people are going to go to a cheaper product because all that, is it's CBD. And so getting really clear in what the differences is and why is why I want to work with Adam and everyone else that we're working with, is to get super clear from the experts. So people listen.
I think sadly,
and then we can block the cons out, and then we can show, well, when people are saying something and they can pull up this information on whether it's Adam Dunn show or 420 meter at Cannabelle, wherever, that, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. Here's the information right here. Here's why things are done. And you're saying one thing. So right now, no one knows anything, except right now everyone either wants to heal or make money. And it's all conflated.
well, they're going to make money, and but they won't last. Like, unfortunately, like the people with a bunch, like all these, like the CBD companies that are just popping up. I mean, they're not in the long play. They're basically preying on consumers' ignorance, and eventually, at some point, just having enough people out there that are able to get the right information out when people are looking for it, coupled with the fact that people won't buy products that don't work for them and will buy products that do work for them. So I think there's an opportunity for honest people to make great products and succeed and stand
Derek,
out.
if I was you, I'd knock Bob out that you're not here with me right now. I'm telling you.
I know, Bob. What are you thinking?
Yeah, you're right.
I think I even asked him. I even
Bob,
asked him.
what do you
I even
think?
asked him. I think at one
Bob.
point.
Oh, Bob was so pumped too, and I was like, I see it here. I see it. I'm sure he'll be here. I'm sure everyone's going to be here for this 10-10 one.
For the
It's a big
10-10
one
is.
coming up.
I even said to
Right.
myself, that's going to be a great date, just because, how hard is it to like entice yourself down there on the 10th of October? Like, you want to go down to the Caribbean and check out the scene? You're like, yeah, I think that's a very good idea for the company. So Bob
Not
should
check
be.
out the scene. You want to go out and
Change the
build
scene.
up your company. You want to go
Oh,
out
that
and
too.
build your awareness. You want to go out and license your stuff. You want to go build. Yeah, there's a real opportunity. And yeah, absolutely, the 10-10 is great. And what's awesome, Adam, is 10-10 is my Aunt Kathy's birthday, which is why she passed away and is what catapulted me into the industry. So it turned out that's a 3-generation birthday in my family, and when we were looking at dates that fit, because we were trying to fit everything in with the weather and stuff. So I think it's a huge celebration for legalization, and we're going to have a welcome party, and we're going to have boot camps for different from growing and business and cooking with CBD. And then we're going to have a huge, showy expo, and we'll see if your boy comes through, and we bring the show down, the hologram show. So we're talking.
Oh yeah,
It'll
from
be
our
really fun.
guests from Alki David, the guest that we had from.
Alki David,
yeah,
yep, and his boy Owen, who I've been talking with.
So they're going to be crossing over and having their literally holograms on stage. So that's a good one for you. You could be boot camp, Derek's boot camp hologram for the hologram edition.
I still think there's a great
Oh, man,
opportunity
you know what?
to
We
do
can-
like
you know,
the kitchen
I-
Because
nightmares.
he's going to just be yelling at people anyway, so he
Grow
don't really need to.
nightmares.
There's no interaction. It's just
Lab
him yelling at
nightmares.
people for the whole entire time and telling them how lame they are.
Yeah,
He's really good
we
at
can
that.
we can hologram him in. I heard we can beam him right in to yell at everyone, and then it
That's
looks
even
like
better.
he's there, but when people go after him, he's not there.
That's the ultimate right there.
So
That's cool, and that's coming up pretty soon too. I mean, the thing is, time moves quick around here, so you'll be at 10:10 faster than you think. But it's great you get to do it.
yeah, we're doing it.
dry-
I'll tell you right now that one I'm gonna put the kits out hopefully soon. By Monday, just because people are asking. 25% down. I'm capping it on 3 per product. Because it's just not going to, we don't have the space and it's not going to be fair to the vendors. So,
Yeah,
no
you don't
more than
want
3
20
lights,
CBD
no more than 3
companies there.
soil, no more than, it doesn't it's not fair. It's just not fair to anybody. So it's, this one is going to be really more on the showy and like really showcasing and, St. Thomas is a little easier to fly into. So it makes it a little more, it's just different for people. We have St. John Island, which is beautiful. So we'll do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and people can go explore the islands on Sunday. And it's going to be fantastic. And the thing about what's happening here is it's now. It's real and it's now. And they're writing the regulations now. Mm-hmm. So, we have B2B that they're taking CBD. Like I said, there's people opening CBD companies now. They're putting the cases in bars. But they don't know. Again, it's the regurgitation. I mean, I corrected someone yesterday. They're like, well, with the CBD that's like sister connect. And so we have to just educate what they're selling and why. But, you have that B2B, CBD massage, CBD yoga, all that. Then you have the B2C, these consumers, we have an opioid epidemic. This product's going to help them. We have people in pain. They have people that are, lethargic or PTSD and everything that we know about that can really help the patients here. And that's what's great about growing and teaching them how they can create their own products. And then we have the beta industry, I'm calling it, because, it never existed. 3 islands, 3 industries. The timing is just amazing. Positive Nelson was a 7-term senator pushing this, and now he's the agricultural commissioner. So, it's not his first rodeo of supporting cannabis. But now it's here and the people want it. So we have to make sure before, we get those 6-month experts in here selling people bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly what Derek was saying earlier on the show. It's like, it only takes a few, it's like the first so-called consultant comes in and fucks up the game because they just coming in, and blindsiding people who don't know it and have no idea what's going on at that point. But, cool. Well, at this point in time, people can still, there's still a week. So if we got one, is it starting on Friday or is it officially starting Thursday or Friday?
So the expo itself is Saturday,
Yeah.
Where we have some vendors, speakers, full education. We have great doctors coming out, nurses, growers. We have Kentucky State University supporting us. One of their associate professors, Dr. Sean Lucas, is coming out. Mm-hmm. We have Austin Wright, who works with black farmers specifically. We have different, attorneys. We have Roz for medical marijuana, minorities for medical marijuana. Just an array of people to hit on the different components to, Sierra Riddle, whose son is cancer-free for 6 years. Like, people need to know this. They need to understand how powerful this plant is, not the bullshit that's been fed to them. Yeah, shout out to Landon. We love little Landon. He's a little handsome little baby. So I love Sierra as well. Sierra fought her own demons with opioids and stuff and is clean using cannabis. And so people need to understand that cannabis isn't the same as using an opioid or heroin or cocaine or any of those things that it's labeled against. And that's where I feel like cannabis has been here forever, as we all know, but not in the capacity of a legal market. And that's the thing, is we really want to educate them on what to expect. It's different when you're hiding from the government versus you have to report to them, right? And so we have to just change that perception and shift it. And with that shift, these islands can be leaders in businesses. I know they can. And I know they can in products for sure because they're making them already.
Well, yes, the thing is, it's
So
like
I'm
a lot
excited
of
to see.
pharmaceuticals down in the Caribbean, a lot of other companies that kind of use that, use those spots already for pretty high tech shit. So the fact that everybody smokes there too, which so that it's one of those things where you really just, I'd sit in this head shop there for like a half hour while I was talking to the owner, and it was just nonstop, people coming in, and you could just tell, it was a couple foreigners, but for the most part it was mostly locals, and it was just like
everybody smoke weed.
Everybody, pretty much everybody. So it's like,
yeah, but you know what yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go, I'm sorry, go for it.
Well, I was just going to say, I was having that conversation with someone the other day, and they were saying, well, everybody smokes here. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. So it's different. That's where I'm like, well, yeah, everyone's smoking, but we're not talking about the tinctures or lotions, the potions, the tea. You know what I mean? The things that people are, especially the older generation, are really open to using once they use. Right? And so it's changing. That's the whole thing. Also, it's changing that perception of, it's not just people smoking weed or coming here to smoke. Although, I mean, when better to come on a tourist and go for a CBD massage or go buy a joint or go and spend, and have a medical destination where, patients like Colton Turner or Landon Riddle can come and know they're safe to medicate. It's horrible. I was in North Carolina recently, and I ran out of herb, and it was brutal. My stomach was hurting. I'm a patient. I mean, it was hard. And then I have to break a law if I want to go and get medicine. And I'm past alcohol stores all the time. I pass liquor stores. I pass CVS and Walgreens, and it's just bullshit.
Fucked up.
I
agree.
Bullshit. And what happens, it's so fucked up. And what happens, I notice when I'm in my legal states, is they're so in depth, like Adam and yourself is so in depth that we forget sometimes that what others are going through. And so this is real. This is real about getting this medicine to everybody. And, whatever their laws they work out to, but we have to get this accessible, period, across the board. And by the way, you can have patients that grow their own and make a lot of money still. I mean, how many people do you know that just grow their own tomatoes versus going to the store?
Yeah.
Not many that I know in New York. They all go to the
Get a
store
couple
for
good
their fruits and
tomatoes.
vegetables or anywhere.
And they always fuck up.
I mean, so
Worms.
yeah. So let's
blight,
be realistic.
worm.
But we don't want to force them to have to go medicate and spend, $50 for an eighth, and they need, pounds over time to medicate, or they want to juice. They want to use THCA. They want to use this in their food. I mean, that's the stuff I really want to help educate. And hemp. And hemp, dude, I mean, how big is hemp out in the Caribbean with hemp houses to weather these storms? I mean, I'm not saying about growing here per se, which I had the conversation, but I'm talking about the use of hemp. And I mean, chefs don't grow their food. Chefs don't cook fish, and they went fishing that day, right? We have relationships. So this is what we're doing here, and this is where the opportunity I find, and especially with the OGs,
if somebody wants to
so much shit.
If somebody wants to come check this event out, where do they have to go to? Let's kind of make sure we don't.
So Cannaval, CannavalusVI.com. So it's CannavalusVI.com.
Cool.
Is the website. My name is Kerry Accardi. They can go to 420media.us or email me at Kerry, Kerri, at 420media.us. We have all sorts of opportunities for people to come in, to learn, to potentially participate in the next conference. So we're really open to, making sure we're highlighting and bringing the expert speakers, like I said, not the pay-to-play expert speakers, but the experts that really understand genetics and breeding and soils and how is it going to affect the environment, because the Caribbean is much different than Denver, right? It's much different than New York. And so I think that people need to understand these levels of depth that even I don't understand, which is why we need these experts like yourself. So this is where I'm hoping we're connecting. Not only are we're bringing the education, but we're bringing the networking. And we're creating the relationships, because everything in our life is about relationships. No matter how good your product is or anything, it's who knows you, who knows your product, and how do we get it out there. And we have this beautiful space right now to really not only help people, but help your own brands and get this out to the masses that need the medicine, that want the products, but just want to smoke a joint because they need a mental health break. Like people drink a glass of wine. It's all good. So that's the goal. So it's Cannaval USVI, and any of our media, I think it's at Cannaval USVI.
We got the link up now.
And we had an awesome article come out today about Mike West at Superstar. So we pushed that out on
Mike
NJ
West in the
News
chat,
Network today. And
he's still in the chat.
we love Mike West. Yeah, Mike West was, I met Mike West when I first started on this journey early in 2014, and he was instrumental in educating me on what I'm trying to help educate here. Yep. And he was also actually, he was the one through the event with Positive was where we met them initially in their facility in Seattle. So yeah, there's a whole relationship. So it's really cool. That's what the beautiful thing is. I came into this industry. I didn't know anyone or anything, but I've been on this mission, and so I essentially infiltrated all you guys to help me educate the world about cannabis.
Nice.
And you are, and people have become my friends and alliance, and we're building this. And Mike West and his wife, he's got married. His wife Pam is a patient that I watched heal herself using THCA, doing a lot of juicing, and really sharing her story. And that's what's really important, is sharing the stories of what this plant is doing. And I'm with a kid here, not a kid, he's in his late 30s, but he healed. He was given 5 months to live. He had a tumor around his heart. Started chemo for 3 months. They told him it was going to go away. Nothing bulged. So he starts doing edibles just to take the pain away, to be able to eat. And he goes back to the doctor, and it's gone. He's cancer free right now.
There you go. So some good edibles right there.
Unbelievable.
Derek, you need to hire the guy.
That's what I said.
Need to get on
See?
it. Need to get on
Derek,
it.
Bob, where's Bob? Is Bob listening?
Well, cool.
So, this is important.
Nice. So, well, we'll definitely have the links on the site here for everybody to check out, and I will be seeing you down there.
You.
And let's we'll chat after the show for sure.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for having me on the show. Now I'm
I know it's late. I know.
Adam Dunn show.
I know, and of course it made you stay up super late because it's being a late show. I was like, oh great. Now, what time is it there now? Like midnight? You're
1
like
o'clock or
1 o'clock in the morning.
11:30.
It's early.
No, it's 11:35. It's not that. It's not too late. But I was supposed to be with the rosters tonight, and then I got a little lazy because I have to get up early to go to BVI. So
nice.
I'm in calm, good mood. I know we were going to have a lot of Rasta men on the phone. So thank you for everything you guys are doing for the plant too. This is really important. Thank you for having me on the show and participating and helping me do this. This is a big deal, and I'm learning how to ask people for help to do this, and it's awesome to see the response of everyone holding my hand and going, "Okay, let's do it."
Yeah, it's definitely it's a good starting point, and the fact that you got back-to-back events, I think it's going to grow exponentially, which is nice, and then you can also gauge it a lot better by this one. I think this will be a good test run for sure. So looking forward to it.
Totally. And shout out to YTCC just because I love her. Before I hang up.
All right. Thanks. Thank you for hearing. And
thank you. Thank you.
All right. Peace.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
Okay. So that's cool. Like I said, links up there. Check it out. It's going to be a really cool event. Positive, who she kept mentioning over and over again. This is Positive Nelson, who's been on the show. We figured that was 2014 or something like that. Was when this show was done. It's the politics episode. It's cannabis politics episode.
Oh, that was a long time ago. That was when I was still a listener.
Exactly. See, back when you were listening. Way back when you were a listener.
Yeah.
So we had Positive on the show, and now he is the one kind of, spearheading this whole it's a project right here with her, and it's going to be pretty cool because it'll be, like I said, the first, which is always nice because it's usually a little more intimate, and by next 2 or 3 events that stuff will grow hopefully exponentially, right? And Derek brought all sorts of charts. He was like Ross Perot over here. That's what I saw him earlier. He's like pulling out charts. I was all, yeah, let's do a little Luminar. Get back to our sponsors because we kind of cut off one of our main sponsors, the guys over at Luminar. So if you need any lighting,
Recorded commercials.
no, I would have been. And she would have called and things would. I don't know. Complicated.
We just had
You would have had to have her on hold for a moment, and then
No.
when the commercial was done, you would have said,
Can't
"Oh,
do
here's
it.
our guest."
Nobody listens. I wouldn't listen to recorded shit. I'd be like, fuck that.
we just had comments in the
Man, I
in the
never
chat
thought-
gang saying
Yeah.
that these are the only ads that they listen to.
See, because they know I
He
suck.
rambles on through.
They know I suck, and they never know how long they're going to be. So it's pretty much just might as well listen to it. That's what I would say. But Illuminar.
Shout out to Luminar for putting up with Adam's shit.
Oh my God, tell me about it. But at the same time, I think they're really poised to sort of take over that sort of side of the market where
I love their site is
clean.
it's so visually appealing that
There you go. You
I'll
want to
have
buy
to
it
check
right
out
now.
Luminar lights.
You're like-
Check it out just for the beautiful design of the website.
And the crew behind there is all really good. That those bar LEDs are pretty fucking sick right now. Expensive as hell, but definitely worth it. And they got all the double endeds and every combination 315s and all those nice.
I'm been full spectrum
315 full
or
spectrum.
shooting for a full spectrum, knowing early that there was something missing in lights has cost me fucking dramatically over the past decade. Just chasing, you know, like I remember the $250 bulbs. Thank God companies like this have like taken over and
Oh,
Brought it down.
laid an actual plan for people that I was just looking that red, blue, yellow, like understanding, hey, you need all these idiots, like like making it simple for people like that. They're like, oh, I get it. You know, like I remember fighting for information from lighting companies 10 years ago, and this is
Well, especially
wonderful to see.
especially with the LEDs, it was like there's so many like early models UFOs and all those kind of combos that were like
shout out to everybody that spent $20,000 swapping their grow over like 8 years ago for nothing. Like you poor fuckers.
But lately, they're definitely getting some tighter. I mean, I've seen some pretty good.
Yeah,
I've seen
I'm like-
great LED.
or
ones.
I'm
I
like,
agree.
holy shit! Okay, now they're finally getting there.
The yield isn't quite the same from what I've seen, but I've seen weed that is certainly flowers that are amazing.
Yeah, and you know, you can get more creative at that point too. You can actually do the
I'm
thing.
in.
Yeah, well, you can do the different things that you never really made sense with an HID before, because pretty much HIDs, the problem is everybody just crammed them down on top of the plants way too hard, not realizing that, you know, now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, high ceilings, lights up high, plants get big, things, you know, just have more of them and fill the room up so that there's not a blind spot, and you got yourself, you know, perfect grow. It doesn't have to be slammed on top, and you just look at all photos of those old grows, and you're just like, you know, it's like
that.
hot here and fucking
Yo.
underlit here, because by
All the
overlighting,
zones.
yeah, by overlighting that top zone, you're underlighting all the, you know what I mean?
Right.
The shadow's even bigger
Yeah.
compared to if you have them out here, there's hardly any shadow because you got bing, 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 bing. You know, and Dutch guys always kind of figure that out and put them up. And I remember like kind of believing in the slam down technique because over there everything was like tight space.
Yeah.
So it didn't have much space. I couldn't really get that. Very rarely did I have 12-foot ceilings, you know, very rarely. And like 9, I'd be like lucky. And then you still couldn't slam it up against the fucking ceiling. Used Adjust-A-Wings, tried all the different combinations like those for a long time. But nowadays you look at that and you're like, antiques, man. That's like,
Yeah.
it's all gotten back down to the,
Crazy.
It's funny
I got some equipment in my storage unit from 10 years ago, and I'm like, oh my God. What do you even do with this?
yeah. Well, they're all like door stops or something like that. They almost need to be like, that's what they should be used as. Literally.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Just put an old grow light by every door. Just
Upcycle.
to remind you of the failed projects along the way. I had the same thing with hydro units, where like you didn't want to throw it away, but you're never going to use it because it has 4 different holes drilled in the stupid places. You know what I mean? Like for some little float or something that you put in there.
Yeah.
And you know, at the end of the day, it just sort of stacks up. And I remember back in Amsterdam moving and not knowing, because I had all these PVCs that I literally cut every fucking piece by hand. So just going through that work. I was like, well, if I ever need this again, I'll never want to do it because they couldn't buy.
I know that bucket of PVC scraps.
Oh yeah, and you were just like, it just went through like 2 bits and fucking wasted, crazy amount of energy.
Let me show you how much the world's changed.
But yeah, go to illuminarlighting.com, check them out. Done deal, throw it at them. They don't know.
No, see, you're in an ad again.
Exactly, we're still in an ad. never ends. The ad Dunn show, they call it. Just all ads.
Yeah.
24 hours of ads, disguised as rambling. Pretty much what it comes down to is ads disguised as rambling here on the Adam Dunn Show. But the guys over at Illuminar are doing their monthly giveaway, so got to get the word of the month, which they'll put it on the IG, so probably that's what Scott or somebody who's listening to the show is going to be like right away texting to somebody else like, hey, do we have that word of the month? We need that word. Do we have it out?
I'll look.
He'll look. See, I
got it
don't
right
know.
now.
We're doing the homework. But they're going to put out the word of the month. Now they have a whole month, so they can be all lackadaisical about it, right? Because they just gave away 2 weeks ago. So they got another couple
Oh,
weeks.
yeah, there is a word of the week.
Oh, there you go. Word of the month.
The word of the month, yeah.
Say word of the week.
No, it's yep, it says the word of the week.
See, they don't got it. Okay, that means they have to give away lights every week. So they changed that. No. They did.
So remember all the holes you drilled?
Yes.
Just think of the world that we live in Colorado now, where I'm saying it's just weed is just part of life now.
Uh-huh.
This is an entire aquaponics system. All the shit you need.
It's on
Auction.
yeah.
And guess what this went for?
$150. Something stupid. No. $16?
$16 for that whole system, dude. Like,
But no one's ever going to put it together. Like, maybe.
well, dude,
Dude.
I hope whoever did it, in my heart, I hope it's like the most. He's like, yes.
It's one of those.
Score of a lifetime, and he sets up a whole system. And he's
I mean,
like,
if he does,
wow,
he's crushing.
$20, bitch.
Yeah.
$16.
Because at one point, that's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like just
PVC
very
alone.
recently.
PVC alone is one of those things where I look at boxes of PVC that I have of sizes.
Oh God, me
that I
and
don't
you.
use for
Remember the
garage.
cage, the original cages?
Yeah. And that was on that phone too. So these would have been perfect things to bring the phone. I should have brought the phone.
Time capsules.
Yeah, I had the cages where I looked at them again and I was like, dude, that's like 32 different. I mean, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I feel like if we're talking about the same things, that we had to special order like a
Tees.
yeah, like something that wasn't at
Well,
Home
tees were hard to
Depot.
get. Those are the hardest ones to get.
Oh, for sure. That's
The actual tee.
secret of the night is don't look in plumbing. If you're looking for PVC tees, look in PVC tee furniture, and
Interesting.
you'll find it. They'll pop right the fuck up. But if you try and find it in like plumbing, they'll look at you like, what are you talking about? Like, and I was a plumber, so I know. I'm like, yeah, there's actually no fucking reason you would ever have this joint like this, like a drain. Like I've seen what's close, like
this, yeah.
where that's two Ys going down. So there's situations where there could be like two drains and a vent pipe or whatever the situation, but it's all directional. And people are like, and it's an expensive fucking piece. But if you look up furniture,
And I have
PVC
shitloads
for
of them.
furniture,
Still have shitloads of them too, all over the place.
right? Fuck PVC.
I know. So those are the kind of things where it's like, as a grower, you're like with hydro and all those things. It was like it's always beautiful when it's running perfect, and then the minute you start fucking up things, and then you start replacing things, and then you start,
And actually, the
and
truth
you start
is,
stacking up swag, and then at the end, so one day you look at your shit and you're just like, oh my God, I have a fucking like.
well, the truth is, again, we're
full of
back to
junk.
the point where, you never wanted to really invest a whole lot in your setup because it was sort of clandestine. You didn't want to
Right.
have flags. You didn't want wasn't something you could show off. Whereas now, I've seen some situations that if you go into it thinking I've got to build this to last. I've seen the tables that are on the slot wheels that move with ease like ours, but forever because it's like meant. It's a fixture that'll be there forever.
Right.
And then if there's upkeep, that machine to keep producing, you need to treat it. Like I know too many people that have just they get something going and then they don't understand why. What's wrong with this cloner? Well, looks from the side of it, you've been using it for fucking 10 years, and how many times have you scrubbed that white shit off? Like,
Right.
like what's that white shit look like on the inside of the pump and the lines? You know, like, I can't figure out why this thing ain't squirting. I was like, well, you've been using it sitting there for 3 years. So now you're seeing, like, a much more thought out and more thoughtful planning and more quality.
You see those
gardens.
Easy Cloner Pros, those new ones?
Yes.
I haven't seen the new ones.
Dude,
Yeah, they're pretty sick.
they took
They finally...
the geniuses that they've seen their shit get stacked up so many times. They're like, all right, I think we should cut in on this now. But again, a company like that can make an investment knowing that weed is legal and you're going to need fucking clones for ever.
That's what I was thinking. Right
Is it plugs with multiple holes in it?
It's only 459 spots,
Yeah,
so it's still not like...
It's like
it's not the most...
stacked.
Okay.
What are you
It's
guys
just
talking about?
a bigger cloner.
Easy Cloner,
like
the
commercial
new one.
cloner.
Pro Cloner, Pro Easy. Blah, blah, blah. Easy Cloner Pro.
Easy, is that what it's called? Easy Cloner Pro?
I believe so. Pulling it up.
I tried to Google it, and
You got some
it went
Easy
straight
Glider. Easy Glider.
to Easy Clone Pro problems. Like that was
Ah.
Of
like the
course,
first
though,
thing that popped up.
with everything, there's going to be, especially new shit. Again, it's harder to be first than it is second or third, obviously. Mm-hmm. But it's like pioneers catch fucking arrows in the back, man.
Yeah, but Easy Cloner. I met the guy. I'm trying to think where it was. The guy who made it, and you can tell it was like
Oh, I know what we're
Commercial,
talking
like,
about.
moment of brilliance.
like $8,500.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll build you
There you
that
go.
same thing for about $1,800.
Right, it's way overpriced.
Yeah, but they're moving up. I remember when I'd have to special order the Easy Cloner that was big. Remember we
And
were
like I
like,
said, 459 sites is not that much. I mean,
No, it's not.
You could definitely, I mean, I guess,
God, it doesn't seem like I would rather buy fucking 2 or 3 of their fucking 160
180s
bombers.
or,
Yeah,
yeah.
180. What is it? Is
I
it
think it's
160 or
180.
180?
well, the thing is, at the end of
Now
the
I'm
day,
confused. Oh, it's because there's lighting and everything. I forgot. If you look,
yeah.
each tray has lighting underneath. I think.
And
Gotcha.
probably irrigation that
Yeah,
connects them all.
yeah, yeah.
what's funny is
it's
I
a nice
bought
thing.
I bought a thing like this.
But I'm all thinking, man, this looks like you can clone it on rack with a couple 4-footers stretch across. I built this with my eyes closed.
I had bought a system like that in Amsterdam, and it was like somebody who grew already smart, and they built this thing, and it was just super Dutch. Like they literally went out and bought like aluminum pieces, hand cut them, did all their handiwork to make it look kind of pro. But at the end of the day, it was just some Dutch guy in some garage whacking it together, and I fell for it. As far as a cloner, it was a cloner with lights and everything was built in, but I had to do so much. I had to do so much changing. In the end, I had to I took the back off because it got too hot, and I covered it with plastic, and I put a ventilation, and I changed. It was like at the end of the day, I should have just built it myself because it would have been way smarter.
But remember those those little cabinets?
Oh, the grow box things.
The original ones,
Phototrons?
yeah.
Oh, I had one of those.
Yeah, but it didn't work the way it was supposed to. But
Hell
you
no.
could get good product out of it if you tweaked it right.
Yeah, you had to not grow nearly as many plants as they
Fuck
could.
no.
Grow one.
I remember my buddy's like, man, I remember when I saw the picture,
He said
there was
6.
plants sticking out of it, and I was like, nah,
No.
dude, they can work like that.
No, unless you had a grow room in the room and in those kind of stuck out, that was your starting point or something. But yeah, it was one of those learning curves for a lot of people, for me included. For Katsu Bubba also, he was his first. A lot of us, that was our golden moment of sending out our fucking cash in a fucking thing. It was old school.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, listen to what?
That's so crazy, man.
So old school, and then cutting it out at fucking high times and waiting, and then one day it comes and you look at the box and you go, that cannot be it, dude. That box is way too small. Something's wrong here.
Billion parts.
And then you get it and you open it up and it's like, oh my god, I have to do everything on this thing. I had to put my own fucking reflective shit on. Later on, it became came with the
Yeah, it started upgraded.
yeah, and then so I was all bubbly and stupid. I did a shitty job, and then so it was kind of cursed from the beginning, and then mine melted literally. So I blame Julian D. DeMarco, the fuckhead who posted that every time, and guy came out like, yeah, 1-800-BUDS, and he was all like, and when I sent him a letter,
The dude's name.
You're like, listen, motherfucker,
yeah.
I spent my allowance on this shit.
I sent my mom actually sent him a letter and said like, you could have burned our house down with your fucking shitty machine. Because it just like it melted. It's like
Ace is like, look, motherfucker.
No, yeah, she said like the headline could have read, "Cannabis kills mom and son." That's what it would have said. You know what I mean? Even though it would have been a bunch of bullshit,
Right.
and it would have been your machine. And he was like, "Well, I don't give money back, but I'll give you 2 new machines, right?" And I was like, "Oh." And so it was one of those deals where it wasn't worth the fight. So
You could maybe die 2 more times.
we took the 2 machines and sold them to somebody else, and so we got our money back, which is cool. But at the same time, it was definitely one of those like total New
Dude,
Jersey,
there's such a
New Jersey vibe.
there's such a scam when things are illegal. There's extra taxes, there's extra bullshit, and there's extra opportunity for fucking scam artists because just like you're the drug dealer, dude, like good people that were afraid of just doing things wrong would have like they wouldn't venture out and get weed before because what happens like they get ripped off once and then what they can't call the fucking cops and say, hey man, this guy fucking ripped me off for this weed.
Called the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah, so like
Well, now they can.
yeah, so now literally you're like, hey, when was the last time the Department of Agriculture was in here to calibrate this scale? They're like fucking paperwork to say when. So it's changed so dramatically that I think that, you know, back in the day, you know, timid people.
Beneficial right now are the elderly, just because they were.
Oh, I'm glad that,
You know.
at one point I thought that people over a certain age were just going to die with the opinion. And that's actually been one of the pleasant benefits of things moving so fast is it changed. I was like, holy shit. Because I remember John fucking McCain, the year that, you know, Barack Obama, that was 10 years ago. Because I was thinking that John McCain was going to win and In Harmony Wellness was going to be one of 10 dispensaries in Colorado. And instead, Barack Obama wins. And there's like a fucking the most crazy floodgate of people that decided they're all of a sudden going to get into marijuana. And the John McCain on the campaign, I was like, fuck, dude, I didn't realize you're one of those guys. He basically, like, they asked him how he felt about medical marijuana, and he said, I don't believe in medical marijuana, and I never will.
Ugh.
And I'm like, fuck.
Oh,
And there was a point where you drew a line, basically, and anybody over a certain age. Look, dude, it's hard. Imagine a good fucking God-fearing person that just followed the rules their whole life, that was born in 1940 or 50. Fuck, dude, you were told your whole fucking life that this was just an evil plant, death, you know, like stay away from it. It fed lies forever.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to have such a strong conviction that, you know, what you were told forever by every fucking person was correct. And so, you know, at one point you were thinking, all right, if you're past a certain age, you just were lied to for so long, you'll never accept it. And instead, cannabis information came so rapid, and the information age and the internet and fucking podcasts and all this shit throughout the last decade
Fucking
has been so.
it's fucking John Doe Radio.
Shout out to John Doe Radio.
They fucked it all up.
Yeah, we
Dunn
made
fucked
it
it
easy for people to just go out there and get information.
They fucked your couch, bro.
Right. But there wasn't, you know, like there wasn't 10 years ago. There wasn't fucking YouTube videos on how to make BHO. There was like one video online, and it was fucking Rick Simpson using a wooden stick in a fucking Home Depot bucket with naphtha. Fucking
yeah.
like
Ooh,
I was like, oh, this is not a good look.
Yeah.
You know, I made a conscious decision early that I was like, man, I don't want to be responsible for fucking people fucking this up, man. This is
Well, you know, the
dangerous.
thing is, and that's the thing, like, but the reality, which is crazy, is that shit worked through all that poison somehow.
I mean,
Somehow it
if you
worked.
have to use a little bad to get to good, I get it. But I was like, man, you knew right off the bat. For anybody that's serious about weed or healthcare or doing new things properly, or a whole multitude of things, you could watch that video one time and been like, man, I'll film a video right now, my first time, and I could make it look more, you know, like if you're trying to teach someone something. It was, you know, shout out to fucking Rick Simpson on the lamb. Unfortunately, people just refer to that RSO all the time, and I'm like, hash oil. Like, this guy's getting the glory of fucking weed. Like, he came out. I remember I read a statement one time that said he discovered hash oil. I was like, motherfucker,
No,
I walked outside and discovered the sky. No, dude, like, this is shit that's literally been documented and around forever.
Well, plus he he was at that lucky time period for himself where people weren't testing anything or going it was not going to labs or anything like that, because if they ever did, they'd be like, holy fuck, dude, this is poison.
No,
this is straight up poison.
That exact thought has made me really not get that uptight about residual solvent analyses, because it's like, if his with that sort of methodology still curing cancer, I'm like,
we were shooting for 0 when they came in and told us, like, and we a bunch of it was going into edible products. So we're making an edible product, and we're testing our hash oil, and we're shooting for fucking 0, and we're getting like less than 100 ppm, and they won't mark what exactly it is. I'm like, come on. Well, then I look, and the FDA limit is like 5,000 parts per million. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, if I would have known that, I'm like, there's only passing grade. You don't get extra credit for fucking being. So we were, like, I remember at one point, shout out to Pink House for letting me do some learning on their time. But I was trying to explain to people, you can purge hash in fucking a few hours to the cleanest you'll get it. And that's because fucking butane doesn't want to bond, and it's a light hydrocarbon, and it evaporates so low, and you use a fucking vacuum, and you pull it down and replace the air and all these things. And it took labs coming to test, like, people were scared, and there was fear, and fucking labs wouldn't help you. So people were just assuming that you had to have your shit under vacuum for fucking a week or, who knows how long, some crazy amounts of time. And I'm like, nah, it doesn't work like that. And I remember going to battle, and as science was opening things up, I'm like, oh man, it's thank God, we got other things on our side. Same with water hash. Like when the lab started testing for mold, I remember thinking, oh fucking thank God, because finally people are gonna have to realize, that hey, you can't fucking use moldy old equipment on a water-based fucking product and keep, basically generating the same breeding ground for bacteria.
Right.
I'm like
your
dude.
rubber, mostly I think it's people who use normal washing machines, and
even hash washing machines, those are fucking just normal washing machines in tiny little countries or where they don't have space.
The thing about those is you can power wash them out pretty good. There's not as many nooks and crannies as those rubber gaskets or that's where all that shit goes.
We predicted a long time ago that if there wasn't a specialized piece of equipment made out of stainless steel to make water hash, you would resort back to using kitchen utensils in a fucking food safe bucket. And anybody that knows anything knows that if you're serious in hash right now in production for a fucking legal entity, that's about the best way that you're gonna fucking find to make water hash is control your fucking temperatures and get some huge food grade paddles in a giant food grade bucket, because no machine is going to let you be legit. And maybe eventually we'll get to make that machine.
Finally.
Did you see Bubble Man's big T5000 whatever?
I haven't.
Oh yeah, he's got some industrial side. It's I'm trying to remember the name of the.
If somebody comes out with what is it, NSF? Is that the rating I need for food safe production facility or
GMP?
No, it's NSF. I think is the food safe production, like all of your kitchen utensils. If you have an NSF mark, you're good to go in the kitchen, and that's like a national standard. Again, people, weed is only new to weed people. Like there's standards and shit apply. I'm sure.
Are you thinking of USP/NF? It's like U.S. Pharmacopoeia.
Oh, shit.
I thought there was like a kitchen rating that's called NSF.
I'm going to Google it real quick.
Like,
I'm curious.
There you go, Max. Google.
Max has spent, it's official, Max has now spent one fucking decade trying to prove me wrong. Shout out to Max for fucking...
What the fuck ever?
Being around, sticking up with that shit. Can you believe it's been fucking 10 years ago you've been here?
I know, right? It's like, weird.
When this guy, he first fucking came through, I don't think he realized how fucking destined he was. I'm like, I told him, I'm like, dude, you're a Colorado dude. making fucking weed clothing companies and
Yeah, it was definitely one of those, like, it didn't take long. It was like I got home,
hemp.
and then about a week later, I called up Derek, like, all right, I'm coming. I'm going to pray. I'm doing something, figuring it out.
Right.
Like, I was like, I had it. I was done. I saw the writing on the wall in Amsterdam, which definitely happened, and then all the people there were all of them were so jealous that I had actually jumped ship at the right moment, you know what I mean? That I was like, yes, finally in my life, I've fucking chosen the right thing.
Right.
And it was, if I'm here for 10 years, I guess it means something, but it's definitely one of those deals. So GMP is what Mr. West is saying, but we already went over GMP. Is that what you're talking about, GMP standards?
It is NSF. NSF International is an American product testing, inspection, and certification organization. Public health and safety company.
I think our extractor has NSF rating, and we had to like close up the insides of the welds and everything. So if it goes through a dishwasher, it comes out and doesn't have spots for water to rot or create rust or all kinds of things. But yeah, so the future of like. As much as people want to believe that fucking rosin is going to displace solvent-based hash, that just ain't the fucking case. As delightful and tasty as rosin is, there will always be a new hash, a new concentrate, a new this, a new that. And eventually, like I said, people will just understand it as, you can drink cheap whiskey or you can drink the most extravagantly prepared shit on the planet and spend $1 or spend $100. So the difference is so wild that all those products will have place, but the thing that people fuck up is trying to chase the newest thing, thinking that they have to stay right there. Because the truth of the matter is, as everybody, if you get on Instagram, you would think that diamonds ruled the world, but if you look at the sales numbers, fucking $14 hash that is unlabeled as far as whether it's a sap, a shatter, a butter, like that's what rules the fucking world. Like I think that there's an opportunity for somebody to come in and really do a high quality product at a fair price. And
the average guy's not really there, and then the person who should want it, if they're really educated, they don't want it because it doesn't have any. It's not the flavor thing. I mean, it's like you're like, nah, give me the other, either some people like butter, some people want sauce, but everybody's kind of like, when it comes to diamonds, I think it's like it's a fad for a second, and you get all excited when you see things like that, which are beautiful, and you definitely you get high on the vibe.
I literally leave that in the Jeep, hoping like the live PD was in Arvada. And I was like, man, I've got this in the Jeep. I feel like I should go around and like figure out something really low, like something like, and be like, sure, search a Jeep.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, I forgot. That's my weed. And, national TV break out that rock and they'd be like, this is crack. This is fucking, it's got to be something. I'd be like, no, it's just weed. And like go through the whole thing. And I'm like, man, you could really educate. That's like a hugely popular show. And I was like, man, this is a serious.
You got to hope that you're getting busted on the show.
But I think they would have brought I'm like, I think I could instigate them to bring me the police, because they're going to say I smell weed like they always fucking do, and then I'm going to say, yeah, I didn't think that was illegal anymore, like I always fucking do. And then they're going to say, when's the last time you smoked? And I'm going to say, I can't remember, like I always fucking do. And then they're going to say, well, when was the last time you think you smoked? And I'm going to say, I can't recall, like I just told you, but I can assure you, officer, my ability to operate this motor vehicle hasn't been impaired even in the slightest degree. And then he's going to think, man, this little fucking smart ass just smells like weed and knows the laws. And I'm going to break out that fucking thing and tell him it's weed.
Yeah.
Dude.
He's going to beat you down. He's going to be, don't you lie to me.
He'll just confiscate it. He'll want that.
Right?
He'll be like, I smoke weed too. Give me that shit.
That's a diamond. I watch Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it seems like the pinnacle of extracts when you're actually like the first time confronted with the giant crystal and you're like thinking.
The pinnacle of extracts is, you'll agree because we've talked about it many times. The pinnacle of extracts is when you get the essence of your favorite fucking flower concentrated in a hash. And I don't give a fuck what the form is. It could be rosin, water hash, fucking BHO, PHO, fucking dry sieve. I don't give a fuck what kind of hash it is. If it's got all those flavors and it fucking takes you to your...
Exactly. Or it gets better. Like sometimes you get weird shit, which is like...
Because it's
I
so,
don't like that
it's
weed
so
very much,
slight
but
in
when
the
I make
flower.
hash, all of a sudden it's like, fuck, now it tastes like something like funky and weird. Like this is like beef jerky, but in a good way, you know what I mean? Or something like that. And you're just like, I'd never even smelled that before.
Well, in the flower, there's so much shit getting in the way. And when you concentrate it, you're concentrating down those terpene profiles as well. So it brings out subtle nuances that you can't catch through the cloud of smoke.
Yeah.
But when it's concentrated, it's ironic that, there's such good ways to separate out the best things of cannabis. Like the terpenes and the cannabinoids are the most desirable, and they want to be separate.
You're like the segue king.
Yeah.
And you're the chart king too. So tell us,
I was trying to explain
perfect moment
that there's an opportunity for people to have a window of harvest. So I believe there's like a money window from
the money window.
No, just the money, like where you want to.
Now it's the D money window, obviously.
No, like there's
the name of the chart.
The terpene profiles on most cannabis plants spikes early.
Yeah.
And the THC development comes later. And then there obviously becomes a point where you've left it on the fucking stick too long and the THC starts degrading, CBN starts forming. So there's like these waves and these cycles. And we've taken some of my favorite strains and cut a week off because we're in the concentrate business, dude. Like distillate's so cheap coming from those fucking huge farms that really it's, people that are growing hash should be growing it, or I mean people that are growing their own, indoor weed, cultivating strains that they love, they should be doing it for hash or for flowers. Because the truth is, with outdoor production and this being a simple plant, like THC is going to be readily available. So when you take those strains, obviously you bring them inside, you're trying to maximize that. Well, most people are making hash, so you're looking for that terpene window. Well, that terpene window probably spikes with most plants a week maybe before the THC window spikes. So if you're trying to grow a plant to fruition with a destination of that being a flower, you're going to want to harvest it on the back end of that window where the terpene production certainly, and even it's like sort of changing and dying off at a time when the THC production has spiked up because most people, if you got flowers, you're going to want those flowers to be strong, and eventually like the heaviest of those terpenes, we were talking about it the other day with that terpene company. And it's ironic that when you isolate some things, the terpenes are able to bond and hold on to the cannabinoids, and you're able to taste those terpenes for a much longer length of time. Where some, like as good as they are, some of those rosins, they're so much, it's so porous of a material, and the terpenes are evaporating from everywhere. That's why it smells so fucking good. But those terpenes it's not like a fountain of terpenes. There's a limited amount of terps that is in that product, and when the terpenes evaporate, you're left with a toned down version of that product. So if you're trying to hit this great terpene window with like a water hash or any sort of concentrate, really, if you harvest that plant early, then it was traditionally harvested for flower, you're going to end up with a higher terpene content. And that's a killer for some of these diamond makers who are having a problem. Like some of that natural solvent comes from those terpenes. So if you're waiting to the time you would traditionally harvest your plant, you're really losing some of the opportunity to capture those terpenes that are earlier on in the window. So where before you would really pick a simple day, and I know that people say, oh, I harvest this on day 58, on day 77. And it's not that simple, like depending on the destination of that flower or, the plant, depending on the destination, there's really a window of opportunity for you to harvest based on what you're trying to do with it. And I think that, like that alone doesn't help. But when you take into account that if I can cut 6 days off of one strain in a commercial setting, I'm going to get fucking 2.5 extra harvests a year.
Yeah. Well,
that's sort of a big fucking deal, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, even for the making hash and getting clear glands, everybody was doing that already. I mean, that was already kind of the trend in a sense. Not even thinking about the terp.
Yeah, they don't want that cloudy shit.
They don't
in
want it
order
to be
get
cloudy
that
because it's like, even though that's actually when the plant's in
strongest.
at its more active, stronger phase, the hash doesn't come out as clear and doesn't look as yellow, like bright. So everybody wants, obviously, they're looking for that clear, even though I don't mind when shit was always darker because I knew that shit would get me rocked. You know what I mean? I was like, I'll take the darker and get me more high.
It'll lay you out.
Because back in the day, that was also, we wanted it to get dark.
I want that DNA in my hash. That skin. That skin's what gives it that taste.
Give me the skin.
Give me some skin, bro.
So,
I never thought of it like that.
Did you and you show the thing or no? You didn't.
No. So as I was trying to think about how to do that, I just drew it, and I was like, "Oh, this is easy." So there's like an arc of terpene, flavor, and smell. There's an arc of THC development, and then CBN develops at the end of that. So there's like a window, a money window for where you want to harvest. It's not just a day. Like all your favorite strains, you need to look at them different because there's like usually like a 9 to 10 day.
Can't believe you didn't do the D money window. Come on.
That's not a D money window.
Well, of course it is.
No, because that's you have to. There's the opportunity to make or lose money inside of that window.
But yeah, you don't want to be the guy who made people
is.
lose money. I'm like, nah, it's not the D money window. Mine is the make money window.
If you're a sauce company right now, you need to make sure that none of your fucking plants are going to what flower. What people flower. And I think we're getting to a point where, the good hash companies are sticking out. They know, they get that. This is more for like home growers don't even
money window
understand.
See, now you can see. Now,
the money window.
What's interesting to me is how early we're talking like.
Some of those days
is like 27 days, 26, 77 days. That's like crazy.
So some of them, like literally, there's a couple flowers that what was the earliest? We had a flower that was usually pulled on day 52 or something, and we cut it back to, what was the earliest we cut that, like 39 or 40?
Yeah, early 40s.
And you're losing a small percentage on the THC, but you're gaining an incredible amount on the terpenes. And we're harvesting fucking terpenes to put in pens, and those vials and the salesmen out there, what they're getting for terpenes, it's unbelievable. And we're laughing like, man, these fucking terpenes are so valuable. It's the loss of THC is only marginal, where the gain on terpenes is substantial.
Yeah, no, that's.
So it's. So think about AK-47.
Interesting.
What if you cut a week off something that's only 47 days?
Sure. Well, at least the original was. Nowadays, who knows what the fucking flowering time is? But yeah, any of those 42-day plants that you already know of.
You're literally pulling them in the 30s. It's crazy.
Yeah, and if you.
Or you can.
And that's also kind of where the CBG world is interesting too, because it might even be earlier than that, where the CBG spikes, because that's like the precursor to everything, right? So that's like before anything. That's like kind of your stem cell of the fucking of the cannabinoid world, where you're like, okay, I got a lot of fucking CBG, and imagine if it spiked at like day 12, right? Then you're like, oh shit, harvest like fucking wheatgrass, you know what I mean? Just like go and do them on trays.
Yeah.
Never let them see the light of day. It's like
microgreens.
And that might be the secret. I mean, that might be the reality where people are like, okay, that's what we want to do. We want to but that's just, factory growing at that point, because there's really none of the things we were all looking for.
Yeah.
But it feeds the machine. As long as it feeds the machine,
shout out to weed.
You've created.
What a versatile, amazing plant.
Yeah, we just started a whole industry for a bunch of people. They're like, oh shit.
Yeah. Oh God, dude, you can't.
Yeah.
Sour grapes. Thank God I'm not fucking. You can't be bitter, because holy shit, it's amazing how recycled some things are, and people are just because, like I said, we're at such a new point. People are amazed. Like, you showed everybody everything, but there was only 10 people watching.
Yeah.
One of those 10 people.
Less than 10 for me.
One of those
like
10 people. Yeah, one of those 10
John
people.
Doe.
When by the time they went to tell someone, there's already 10,000 people listening. People are like, "Oh my God, did you hear what he said? He's like a fucking prophet of weed," and he's just saying what he heard. There's a lot of experts. Man, I don't know where everyone got their expertise, but
there's levels in people's education
right
out there.
Oh yeah, and how many when we remember when we had the studio over at Green Labs, how that type we walked into that as a sort of like, oh okay, they got a really cool space and all that, but not a single person there really knew what the fuck was going on, right? They were just like, and it was called Green Labs, and that was where the funny part was. It was like, no, you guys are really green. It was like they were like the greenest of the green.
Extra.
And so it was just interesting to watch because it was like a cannabis-friendly co-working environment where everybody was trying to start their first little thing that they were doing. And, we watched, and I had a little office up there. That's where I did my show from. Go back to some of those shows. It was another weird spot. We've had some. I think if you've watched the show from the beginning, we've been in probably about 20 different locations, maybe more, maybe 30. It's ridiculous. So the money window, and did you have any more charts, or did you just have one chart? You're a one chart guy.
One chart guy. One trick pony over here.
There's a
Only
one chart guy.
That's what they
No,
call
that's
them.
people. That's a game changer for people if you.
You do. You just crushed it. Now, like I said, everyone's rushing off to.
Yeah.
Dude,
recalculate
27
their
days.
Yeah, pull it at 27.
Yeah, Adam Dunn show said so. I'll be like, dude, don't even.
Don't listen to me.
Please do not listen to us.
Don't listen to me. You'll end up on the next fucking list of 100 most influential.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. So I think we're like coming right into the fucking 3-hour mark, dude. We pulled it.
We're
We
rolling
pulled it
into
off.
3 here.
Jesus.
We pulled it off. Everybody's tired. Look at
1 hour of babbling
at least.
ads.
Hey, I try to get it done within 30 minutes if I can, or 25.
You should have your babbling ads, and then you should have like a concise
Yeah.
what they do and where to go to find them that maybe plays a couple times. That's like 15 seconds.
Okay, we'll do that.
No, you
Listen,
won't.
no, of course not. No, we could flash. Yeah, look at him. He's ready to go. He can do anything. He can flash on the behind us stuff. We can. But no, all of our sponsors know how much we love them, and they all forget that no one listens to the show from the sponsors.
Oh,
either,
so
they never know what's going on. So that's
the Dunn deal.
Oh yeah, the Dunn deal. Let's
So
figure that out.
We can figure out
Yes.
for next time. We'll
Okay.
have to figure out.
Well, here's
Here's
okay.
the thing. We
normally do a
Incredibles-
giveaway. Normally we do a giveaway right now, but you guys aren't prepared.
No, Incredibles is sort of locked up. I can't really give away anything that you have to have some.
You just gave away secrets. You gave away the secret.
Yeah, give away secrets
There
all
you
the
go.
time.
That's your giveaway.
Giveaway.
no, but
Everyone got
Anyone's
something.
here got it.
Everyone
But we
was
also
here.
have, man, I can't even really talk about them. But there's some really exciting things going on, especially in our CBD development world. Incredibles is always fucking exciting. Expect nothing but continued success and growth across the country there. But the CBD, we don't want to lose out on that CBD train either. So we've been working hard since the beginning to stay relevant in that CBD world. And I don't want to jinx anything, so I won't say anything. But we got some really cool things that will be simple to come to the studio with,
Right.
give you, and then you can ship them wherever the hell you want.
Oh shit.
Products that are accepted. Thank God for hemp. Paving the way again back for marijuana leaves are no longer looked at. I remember I got dirty looks if in my CD book, if somebody flipped to Dr. Dre CD, I'd be like, people look at me like, what the fuck is this? And now people are like, oh, hemp. It's on fucking lotion bottles at Walmart now.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Everywhere. Sweet. And then, so we're gonna have a done deal. It's gonna happen soon. We're working on it.
CBD done deal. It's happening.
It's happening. It's gonna happen.
I like it.
There we go. So we have proof. As long as we don't fucking fuck up on the upload, we got the proof, right?
Documented.
Documented. Be like, no, we lost it.
Yeah, man, it's up there.
It's already up there.
Yeah,
it's
I can't
going.
even-
It's going live. So, and iloveincredibles.com obviously is one. Is there any other kind of?
Medically correct.
There you go. Check that out for
For people that
extraction.
don't no, that's
No.
MC Machinery.
Oh,
Medically corrects Medically corrects the company. Incredibles
that's
is
the whole. That's the old.
yeah.
The
So that's why I said look for
That's
the
the corporate-
CBD
corporate name.
to
Gotcha.
sort of pop off.
Cool. Very cool.
Or other things, Max is going to come out with his own line
What?
of
Jeez.
medicated. I don't want to burst the bubble, but suppositories, tampons, suppositories,
Yeah.
penal
man.
splints,
Oh, damn.
medicated. It's going to be Dr. Max's.
Sounding rods.
No, dude, I'm just saying.
Ramrods.
Again, we're back
It's
to
ramrods.
now is the time.
Dr.
you know?
Max Ramrods.
The iron is hot.
Yeah. Hemp Ramrods.
man.
Oh, yeah. Sounds good.
That sounds like a good
No,
time.
it's I'm feeling like it's still exciting time to be making things. Thank God that there's been opportunity for industry to catch up, because I sort of developed, when we met, and this guy's pescatarian, and I really excited him because I gave him some fucking fish jerky that was medicated, and he's like, all right, this is different.
Yeah.
And but we're so limited by the inability to work with fucking professional companies. And now to be able to work with, the largest fucking candy flavor machinery companies in the world, it's opened up a whole new horizon of what we can develop. So I'm actually
Dope, man.
excited to be in a position in this time where we can come up with new things, new brands, new ideas, and really push them to fruition on a sort of a entry level market. And it's the bar is always sort of being. The consumer awareness has sort of pushed the brand maturity in a much faster. I guess the momentum went much faster. So you can see even established brands. You can see very quickly how quick they come up and are very sophisticated look very very soon in their evolution. Whereas some brands in other markets might stay that way forever. Like the fucking mustard bottle might always be that way. It's just that way. And things have really, the look of cannabis to the consumer has become so much more friendly in the past 5-6 years that it's really exciting, because like I said, you don't have to know anybody to get weed. You can just go to the store, look at all the cool fucking shit, and buy what you want. No one has to say shit to
It's
you.
still funny though, when I smell weed, I still get a little bit of a weird vibe.
Uh-huh.
Even though I'm a weed guy and I smell like weed all the time, I'll be like, what? Someone else is
fucking
like when we
stereotypical.
were at Elitch's, I had the same vibe because I smelled weed a couple times, and
Like,
I
oh
definitely
shit,
didn't want to be
somebody's
the
smoking.
I didn't want to be the guy to smoke weed there, but I could definitely smell weed here and there, and I was just like, oh,
Dude, but have you ever
Motherfuckers.
like?
That's funny shit.
I was at a Nuggets game, and I'm like, man, somebody else is smoking
'Cause I had
weed around here.
But I had a kid with me, so I'm not gonna be like a guy gets thrown out and smoking weed with the kid
No,
while
I'm-
standing in line for the fucking
Yeah.
psychedelic ride, of course.
I'm like, I'm walking through a Nuggets game, and I'm like, man, I smell somebody smoking weed in here. And I'm thinking, dude, somebody's got a vape pen right around here.
Yeah.
And I'm walking, and pretty soon I'm like, man, what's getting hot in my pocket? And like somehow the button is like pushed, and I'm like slowly leaking this fucking weed smell.
That's
I'm
so
like,
funny.
oh shit, it's been me this whole time.
That's
you
fucking funny
idiot.
shit.
At least it didn't catch on fire. That would've
Oh
been
man, I actually have a thing against using any battery that's bigger than like a lighter. If your fucking vape pen battery has to be bigger than a lighter, keep it the fuck away from me, because there's not enough safety regulations, and I don't want my dick blown off, my fingers blown off. I've seen the hole in people's pants where it was in their pocket and fucking blew a hole in their leg, lost a fucking nut, like some. Our friend Jason, Jason from Dang Decals, shout out fucking Dang Decals, but he sent me pictures. His best friend like blew his fucking hand off.
Wow.
With the fucking just a vape mod. I'm like, no thanks, dude.
Damn. I did
Whoa.
not know
Stick
that.
to the small pens for now.
Whoa.
Until there's more regulation.
Damn. Yeah, no, it is one of those things where
Dudes are hot wiring their own mods that are like, you hear shit crackling, and they're like, yeah, I got these 7 batteries. I'm fucking
Yeah.
crazy, dude.
Definitely. And, well, just in general, and with having the button on the side, like you were saying, I had it in a bag like that once before too, where it was sort of like,
The slow leak.
you know, I've had it. How many times have you had weed on you, but you didn't know you had weed on you?
Yeah.
And then you, whole day long, you keep smelling weed. You're thinking, I've had that a few times.
The sack, the
Right,
sack of
and I was
weed. You're
like,
like,
fuck, that's where they're smelling the weed the whole time. It was like in the zipper, on the upper zipper pocket in the thing. And
Yeah.
I just didn't even remember I had it there. So, yeah,
That's funny shit.
definitely had that. So anyway, yeah, we're going to bust it out. So you guys, so anything, okay, so that's what you medically correct. And I loveincredibles.com for
Yep.
the 2 websites if you want to get in touch with those guys. And the Dunn deal's coming around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank Kerry Cardi for calling in with Carnival. Keep an eye out for that. Next week I'll be down there. I believe so. So we'll be, as long as there's no, you never know. You never know with me. But I should be down there. Can't say I will, because if I say I will, then something will go wrong. I'll be like, but join me next week. I will be on the show some way, shape, or form. Either I'll be down at the show there or on the road. If I can trapped at some airport because some stupid storm or something. Did you see that storm that's about to hit Louisiana?
Crazy.
Holy
Hey, get the
shit.
fuck out.
Good luck.
Things aren't worth it, dude. You can rebuild shit.
Yeah.
But if you don't fucking make it, you can't rebuild shit.
It's going to be, I mean, I was like, oh, Jesus. That's like the
Sad.
same as the other thing, but even worse in a sense, because they're getting pretty on point too with their radar, so they kinda, like they'll have it to the millimeter. That shit, if they,
Even my Doppler, like
Yeah,
when I'm looking at my Doppler fucking sonar shit,
Yeah.
like the wind or the little arrows that show you where the storm is,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh shit, it's letting up, and you look outside, and pretty soon, like 10 seconds later, the sun is peeking through for a second, and then you see the storms coming. I'm like, dude, these things are scary fucking accurate now. Like
Yeah.
weathermen, at least you can talk accurately about what's happening now.
yeah, maybe not
You
what's
still
going
can't predict shit, but at least you can be
No.
accurate about the current situation.
for sure.
don't
Just like
know.
this show.
They can predict some stuff. I actually heard something.
Just
kinda-
like this show,
kinda
dude. All these,
staggering.
you're talking about all this. You're just basically making quotes about the show. We make the predictions. We can fucking
That's the
accurately.
truth.
Yeah, that's how it is. Also, I want to do a shout out to Tony. Yes, he is in my phone, who hooked me up HVAC work. Which I fucking asked like 9 different people, and everybody gave me the same sob story about how, oh, I had this guy and he was really good, but no. And I was like, what? And it's summertime, of course.
That's my story.
And I got the guy. So if you need the hookup, I'm not going to say his number on the show, but if you do need the hookup, this guy's the man. It's all legal, legit. He's all bonded, and he can fucking come in. And he's got dispensaries already unlocked, but he wants some new ones. But like I said, I literally had. He came in. It was a classic because it's funny when I told him, which is 100% true, is that you can't get 2 fucking HVAC guys to ever agree on anything. It's
Holy
impossible.
shit.
That's impossible.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way a guy's gonna come in and go, "This guy did some great work right here." What he's gonna say? He's gonna say, "How
Man,
the fuck?
that guy fucked you.
How the fuck
Like,
is this
every
place?
guy fucks me?
How is this place not blown up or something?" You know, I mean, there's always some story where like everything's wired backwards or something stupid. You're like, what? And then anyway, so he basically came in, fixed every mistake, and the guys like had to turn everything around. They had the blowers going the wrong way.
Yeah.
You know, there's all this dumb shit. And my shit is fucking dialed in. So if you guys need any HVAC work and you're in Colorado and you dispensary or a house or whatever you need, just contact the Adam Dunn Show. I will hook you up with our man Tony.
Dude, I will
Nice.
give you free fucking tips of the week all night, but this one specifically related to
Double tip.
HVAC.
Uh-huh.
This fucking cottonwood tree around here has been so crazy. Like if you're in the
Oh, the
Denver
pollen or
area,
something?
no, the actual little cotton balls. It's so
yeah.
crazy. Like you need to be checking your HVAC daily because like if you let it go 2 days, you might end up with like a fucking 1/4-inch layer of that cotton stuck on your intake because it's like right now seems to be the craziest time. And I've seen some crazy pictures of people like pulling like looks like a little wool blanket.
Like dryer
off the-
vents.
yeah, like dryer vents.
Oh, clean your dryer. You know how those start on fire, right?
Oh,
so
man.
so stay safe. All right, quick shout out to obviously Ace down at the farm. And little
yeah.
Nick. Little Nick's built a fort now. We built a fort this last week, and so now he's all about his fort. So he's at that phase. He's got a.
I want to play fort.
Swing, and
Let's
he's got
go
a fort.
play fort.
Oh, yeah,
Give
he's-
you 3 hours.
oh yeah, you come in. He's ready. He's got Nerf guns and all sorts of shit. So it's on like Donkey Kong down there.
Is he old enough you can like attack him with Nerf guns and he'll just try and get even instead of getting mad?
Yeah. He's pretty
All right.
good. He's pretty good about that.
All right, then it's on.
You're like, I'm ready to piss
Yeah.
him off.
Reintroduction
Oh, yeah.
to little Nick.
He's on fire with that kind of shit. But he's down at Grandma's farm, so everything's good. Shout out to my beautiful wife Cece for helping me put this show together with Carrie.
Shout out to Cease on the
Of course.
ghost tip still
Keep me
guiding
going.
light on the
Yep,
phone.
Guiding light.
You got 2
Cindy
angels here.
Bond. So I made my mistake where I was just like, brain fart, nar, schnib. Anyway. So shout out to Cindy Bond and the crew. See you guys next week. and who knows where I'll be. I'll be here, there, or everywhere. But MTI will be here in the studio, making it happen, giving us these beautiful backgrounds. Like now we look like we really were on a show. We're on a real show, dude. Look.
Real deal.
We were on a show, bro. All right. Peace, guys.
Later.
Later.
Practically every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden.
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.